What's up, San Diego?
This is San Diego sports. The wins, the losses, the moments that matter, and the opinions that come with them.
Padres have clinched the playoffs in back-to-back seasons for the first time since 05 and 06.
No hype, no filter. Just the truth about your teams, your city, and the people who care about it most.
The reality is the expectations are higher now for this club than they were in 2019 and 2020 when the Padres hadn't made the playoffs that many times.
He's been here. He knows this city. And now he's leading the conversation every single day. Live and local on 97.3 The Fan.
This is fun. We're doing this for fun. This is fun. Have fun. Enjoy the fun with us having fun.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Tuesday, everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are live each and every day from 10 to 2. Tomorrow we will not. We will have Padres baseball tomorrow around this time. So hopefully the Padres are looking for a series win tomorrow. They got to get to a point today where they can even up the series. After last night, which was a unfortunate game. I think that's the best way I can describe last night's game, was just slightly unfortunate. After the first inning, you thought, man, this is kind of rough to see this. I'm glad that Walker. I thought Walker Buehler pitched fine yesterday. I mean, he was able to battle back after the first inning, in which he gave up the couple of runs, and one of them on a sac fly. I thought that Walker Buehler settled in 6 innings out of your number 5 starter, or a guy that came in to be your number 5 starter. Gave up the 2 hits, 2 runs, 4 punch outs. Like, that's fine. That's fine. The biggest problem, though, of course, was the base running. I mean, the base running was a problem. Now, I think we got to break this down a little bit more than just saying, like, I can't believe they did this last night. I mean, the Padres lost 2-1 to the Mets despite getting 13 base runners, and 3 of those base runners were thrown out at home plate in the first 2 innings. That makes the loss particularly frustrating because the Padres had opportunities to score and repeatedly challenged Mets outfielders, in which the Mets actually made great throws every single time. I mean, they've talked about it. We heard it from Craig Stammen yesterday. The Padres believe aggressive base running creates runs over the long haul. I would agree with that. Sometimes you run into a situation in which it just doesn't work. I mean, you're asking for a great defensive play, whether it be a catch or fielding a ground ball in the outfield. You're thinking about a perfect throw. You're thinking about a perfect catch, a perfect tag. There's a lot that has to go right for those plays to happen. And the fact that the Mets were able to do it 3 times is remarkable. Now, I will also say this before we break things down. I think each individual getting thrown out at home was a different problem. Now, in this particular game, the Mets made 3 exceptional throws. Carson Benz threw out Jake Cronenworth and Manny Machado. A.J. Ewing threw out Xander Bogaerts. Ben's throw to get to Cronenworth was 99 miles an hour. His throw to get Machado was 103 miles an hour. The 3rd fastest outfield assist recorded by StatCast since 2015. I mean, you want to talk about a perfect catch, perfect throw, perfect everything? He threw the ball 103.9 miles an hour? I mean, are you kidding me, Frank? That's absurd. You can't expect when you send guys that they're going to throw the ball 103 miles an hour to the plate.
Perfect one hops too, like a nice big hop for Alvarez, and right on the money, both of them.
I agree with Craig Stammen in a sense that if that ball is a little bit offline, the Padres probably win. Not only do they score, they probably win. So I think what needs to be said about this, and I'm not saying this is all not bad, but bad base running decisions, doesn't always equal the bad result. I mean, sometimes a good decision gets beaten by an extraordinary defensive play. I mean, even if it was a good decision, if you got a guy throwing 103 miles an hour from the outfield, he makes a strike, sometimes it doesn't work out. But I think the most debatable play was the Jake Cronenworth one. Like that is the mistake by by Henley at third base was the Jake Cronenworth one. The first play is the one that deserves the most scrutiny. Cronenworth wasn't at full speed because he had to slow down between first and second to see whether Ty France's ball would fall. And this was discussed actually on the SNY broadcast of the game last night. There was also another factor. The Padres had already gotten 4 consecutive hits off Mets starter Nolan McLean, who was struggling with his command. San Diego had the momentum and was putting runners everywhere. Sending Cronenworth did not make a lot of sense. I think the first throw is on Bob Henley. I think once there was 2 outs, the second one for Manny Machado with 2 outs, I don't think that's necessarily that. I mean, at that point, that's a tough decision, but I know Manny's slow. I'm not blaming Henley for that one. No, especially if you're an aggressive team with 2 outs, fine. You get thrown out of the plate with 2 outs, trying to make something happen. I'm not upset about that.
Even Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez last night said the first one was on Henley. The second one, he had to go. You have to send him 2 outs. You got to go there.
The last one is also not on Henley because the last one, and Xander Bogaerts admitted to it after the game, he didn't stop and he should have. He thought personally he could beat it. That's literally what he said. He's like, I got a good jump. I saw where he was. I thought I had it the whole time. And he said after, I probably should have stopped.
And that was the closest one of the bunch, too.
That one was close. I mean, I saw that on replay so many times. It looked bang, bang. It looked like it could be either way.
I wouldn't say necessarily the first 2, the 2 from Benj, were, if those were offline by just a little bit, they would have been out. They would have been safe. They were both gunned down by a mile. That one with Ewing, if that one is off by a fraction of an inch from where it was, Bogaerts is in. From what I saw, I didn't see Henley make a motion either way. I didn't see him throw up a stop sign. I didn't see him waving him through. I saw Manny waving him through. But other than that, I mean, that was just a good play from AJ Ewing. That's one of those where it's just, all right, you got him. That's about it.
I think Henley made some good throws. I mean, sorry, not Henley. I thought Benj made some good throws. And the interesting thing with, in Kevin Acey's daily newsletter, was talking about like teams needed to adjust to Benj in general. There's teams that sometimes need to figure out when an opponent has developed a legitimate arm. It happened with Fernando. Teams continued testing his arm until eventually they're like, yep, we can't do this anymore. I mean, Benj may be entering that category. I mean, the Padres had already seen him throw out runners in the previous 2 games. Against them later or earlier in the year, but eventually now you're going to have to not send guys against Benj. The Manny Machado one is interesting too. Like, maybe understanding your personnel a little bit more. It was also laid out in the daily newsletter that, he has not been running the bases as well as he normally does because of various leg issues dating back to late April, which obviously makes that decision to send him a little bit more questionable. I mean, even if the throw is difficult, the third base coach obviously needs to account for the runner. And that's a decision that might be correct with a fully healthy Manny Machado, but not correct with less than 100% Machado. With 2 outs, and if the team is a aggressive base running team, I can see why they would send him. But like if you look at what happened yesterday with the runners, Cronenworth was questionable because of the speed and the circumstances. Machado, defensible because there were 2 outs, but you have to account for his physical limitations. The Xander Bogaerts one is more on Xander than it is on Henley and a late stop sign. So like overall, looking at last night, there's probably only one call, one send that was actually on Henley. Mm-hmm. And that was the first one. And the only reason why that one was like that is because it was in the first inning. If that was in like the 7th inning or 8th inning, you're trying to be aggressive right there and try to score some runs because, you're running out of time. It makes a little bit more sense. But the fact that it was the first inning, the fact that you had just gotten 4 consecutive hits off Nolan McLean, who didn't look like he was going to get off to a great start to the night. You take the momentum out of your hands, you give it back to the Mets, you let Nolan McLean get out of there unscathed and like kind of reset in between. The way the Padres have been hitting, that's probably a time you don't want to be extra aggressive with the runners. And then so it leads to Machado. Now you have to kind of be aggressive with him with 2 outs. So that a little bit more leeway there with Henley. Again, Machado's not running as well. And then the last one, the Bogarts one, is on Xander the entire time. And he actually admitted to that again, as we mentioned after, we mentioned moments ago, he admitted it after the game that he thought he had it from the get-go. And he said he probably should have stopped. So out of all the throws last night, out of all the problems at the plate, which you obviously can't have 3 of those in a game, you especially can't have multiple of those in the first 2 innings in a game that you should be able to win. There's only one that I think was actually on Bob Henley at third base.
Yeah, and it comes to a point where sometimes you just have one of those nights where it's just...
That's baseball, Susan.
Sometimes you have to chalk it up to that. But last night, McLean did not look good. You cannot let him off the hook there in that first inning. I know you want to try to get runs early and you want to go station. You don't want to go station to station because you never know what can happen. But that's one where this lineup and how good this lineup has been and how good the Padres have been at situational hitting and just trying to and just advancing runners and getting the bat into the next guy's hands. I'm surprised 4 straight hits don't amount to a single run. I saw that in the box score because I got to the game late. And I saw that in the box score and I'm like, how do they not have a run? And then I saw the 2 plays at home. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But that's a situation where you cannot, with the run of form that this offense has been on, you cannot let Nolan McLean escape that. And unfortunately for them, they did.
Yeah, there was a little bit of conversation about like in the newsletter that Henley didn't meet with the media. Do you care if Henley meets with the media?
Henley never meets with the media.
I know, but it was like there was a complaint. I guess a complaint that like, well, he could provide the context that a manager can't. I don't really care. I don't think he has to like answer for this. He probably they that's what the manager's for. Craig Stammen can answer for him. I don't, even if he wants to, protect him, fine, whatever. But like, I just, there's no reason for any coach to do any type of post-game interview aside from the manager. Just let the manager do it. I'm not super upset about that.
It's not the postseason. At the end of the day, it's a meaningless series in August.
This team right now doesn't have too many.
No, like as far as you're not playing the Mets for anything, they're out of it. That's fine. Of course you need to win the series to maintain your wild card spot, but it's not like you're fighting the Mets for a wild card spot. It's not like you're fighting to tie them, look for a tiebreaker. It's more or less meaningless.
Walker Buehler's start was encouraging. I thought he did well. For a number 5, again, this is why I call him the number 5 starter, because he was brought in to be the number 5 starter. Any expectations about him being better than thinking he's going to pitch better than that or expecting him to pitch better than a number 5 starter, I think is setting unrealistic expectations. He got you 6 innings. He only gave up the 2 runs on the 2 hits. After the first inning, when the Padres were down 2-0, he put up a bunch of zeros. And I think he has done a great job this season for the Padres in helping this rotation out. After allowing a single, a walk, and a single to begin the game, he retired 17 of the next 18 hitters, including the final 10 in a row. And this was his 2nd consecutive quality start. You actually got a quality start last night and you lost because the offense got themselves thrown at the plate too many times.
He was phenomenal last night, was Walker Buehler.
Right. Obviously, the biggest concern with Walker Buehler is the recurring bad innings. 16 of his 25 starts have included at least 1 multi-run inning. 7 of his last 9 starts have included 1. But in 10 of those games, that crooked number inning was the only inning in which he allowed runs. Frank, that to me sounds like a number 5 starter.
Yep.
That's what you get with a number 5 starter. Like, that's what Walker Buehler is right now. He is a number 5 starter. He did exactly what he needed to do. I like the way he pitches in this gritty way. I like the way he competes. I don't necessarily think he was that upset in the dugout. I know people try to make a big deal about him being upset on the video in the dugout. Walker Buehler even said after the game, it's like, I get angry sometimes. That doesn't even look like I was that angry. It's true. Like I saw that video. I'm like, who is like, okay, I see the caption. It's like, oh, he's yelling at somebody. I'm like, I had to watch it probably 15 times to try to figure out why people were even paying attention to that.
Yeah, and nobody
who cares?
And nobody reacted to him.
No.
So it's like, it's not like he was yelling at somebody. It's not like somebody turned around and was like, excuse me, what did you just say?
I think he might have been talking to Craig Stammen about something, maybe, but he wasn't screaming at anybody. I saw something like he was mad at Michael King. He's like not looking at Michael King's direction. It's like, oh, somebody's mad at Bob Henley. It's like Henley's not even like, he's on the other side. I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to make out of this. I don't understand, and maybe this is just me thinking. I feel like a lot of Padres fans still hate the fact that Walker Buehler pitched for the Dodgers. As stupid as that sounds, they try to find ways to not like him. I swear to you. I swear our fan base sometimes does this. It's like, I used to be a Dodger. We got it. Like, what are you doing? It was such a reach last night to get mad at Walker Buehler for something in the dugout. Guys, when there are sports and high competitive guys playing in games, there's going to be some yelling every once in a while. It happens all the time.
Now,
They're fine.
Now, I only saw it. Did the Padres broadcast show that?
Yes.
Oh, they did. Oh, okay, so both broadcasts got it then. Because the video clips that I saw were all from the SNY broadcast. I didn't know if the Padres broadcast picked that up too.
I saw that's where it came from. It was the Padres deal. We even got an admission in the chat. I hate Walker Buehler and try to find ways to hate him, raising his hand because he used to play for the Dodgers. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. His margin for error is not as what it used to be, but like the whole reaction yesterday from like it's they even talked about it in the newsletter. It's like Buehler was caught on the Mets broadcast appearing to yell towards someone after the first inning. He explained it as frustration and communication regarding how the Padres were approaching certain hitters. He said he's always been emotional that what people saw wasn't him being upset with the team. It's probably something to monitor but not overreact to. Whatever. That's a big nothing, Burger. I mean, we've seen Walker Buehler throw his glove. We've seen him like unload on a cooler. He's a fiery guy. I don't really care if he's like super aggressive in the dugout. I mean, come on, like who cares? So anyway, yesterday's game I thought was just a big hang with them. I thought it's unfortunately they couldn't really get to McLean after that. I mean, the sac fly that drove in Jake Cronenworth. I mean, Fernando's centimeters away off on the bat from that being a 3-run homer. I mean, and that's how close that game was. I think it was more egregious what happened that cost them a game in the standings with Philly and what happened in the Phillies game. That was actually probably something more to be upset about than anything that happened in the Padres game. And we're going to talk about that when we come back. 10:24 on a Tuesday. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing over at Sports Station 97 through the Fan. I do want to wish one of those Padres fans that said he doesn't like Walker Buehler because he was a Dodger. Johnny in the YouTube chat. It's his birthday today.
We got another one of these?
Another one of these. This must be just the week.
We got to get a calendar. Jeez.
Well, you have enough calendars behind you over there.
Yeah, I know.
You can actually see it on the YouTube stream.
My mom's birthday's on Friday.
Wow, happy birthday.
You? What's not mine? We got 5 calendars back here. Well, 4 calendars back here, and we're gonna have to add a couple more. If there's a team playing in San Diego, just take a look behind us. You'll know when and where.
Where's our San Diego Goals one? Yeah, there you go. You guys can all wish Johnny a happy birthday in the YouTube chat. Happy birthday to Johnny. Take a whiskey shot for Johnny.
There you go.
There we are. All right. I do want to get to what happened in the did you see what happened in the Marlins-Phillies game yesterday?
No, I did not.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, dude. It ended up costing the Marlins probably the game, which also cost the Padres a game in the standings because the Marlins lost to the Phillies. So we are in this. I gotta get the. I gotta get the exact part of this game of like this scenario. The manager got tossed, but here's what happened. Marlins.
I saw something of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Marlins third baseman Javier Sanoja came to bat with the bases loaded and 2 outs against the Phillies, with Philadelphia leading 4-1 in the 7th inning. And Sanoja hit a ball down the right field line that literally goes right dab in the middle of the chalk on the foul line and rolls all the way into the corner at Citizens Bank Park down the right field line. It is clearly a fair ball. And the umpire calls it foul.
Oh, dear God.
And it's just like pandemonium. So he calls a foul ball. I mean, if you look at the play, I mean, it's
Is that not
ridiculous.
challengeable?
So what happened was they challenged it. So the Marlins manager, Clayton McCullough, challenged the incorrect call, and they actually won the challenge. But because of Major League Baseball rules, they can't assume that the bases will clear, so only 2 of the 3 runs scored. The tying run got stuck
That's
on the
fair.
bases.
That's happened before. That's not unprecedented.
Right, but them missing that, he was going to score. It's like a ground rule double. He was going to score. It's not like the ball bounced out of play and there's nothing you can do about it. The guy misses a blatant call, and everybody knows he's scoring for that spot at Citizens Bank Park because the outfielder was over too. He wasn't going to get there in time. And by the way, there's 2 outs. So the guy's going on contact. He's scoring. That would have tied the game up. I get the rules part of this, but as soon as it goes to as soon as it goes to New York, obviously McCullough can't challenge it. He goes out there to yell about the deal and he gets tossed. I don't know if you could find the clip. The Marlins broadcast, I think John Boy's got it. The Marlins broadcast has an absolute aneurysm. They lose their mind on the call. Like on what they decided to do. Those are the rules. I understand that. I don't think they screwed that part up, but it was such a blatant miss for the umpire that ends up probably costing the Marlins game. Now, it's only the 7th inning. Who's this? And the Phillies added an extra run later. The Marlins ended up losing by 1 run at the end of the game. So obviously they had their opportunities there, but it's a rough one to watch from afar when you know a Marlins win could have helped you out last night.
Yeah, I got it right here.
All right, so here's the play as heard on Marlins TV.
With an 0-2, Sanoja shoots it fair. Nice and foul down the right field line. A foul ball. It looked like it was fair.
Wait, this is reviewable though because it was past first base.
If this is indeed a fair ball, the umpires are going to have to determine, and that is a fair ball.
That's a fair ball.
It's well fair. So now the conversation, it almost hit entirely in fair territory. And the first base umpire, I hate to blow him up here, but Shane Livensparger has got this call wrong. And watch Sanoja. He knows that this is a fair ball. He lost his marbles. Here we go.
Is overturned. Fair ball. 2 runs will score.
That's
1 run
awful.
sent to third.
That's awful.
That's
terrible. And
That
Shane
is ridiculous. And
Livensparger, the first base
McCullough should
umpire
lose
here
his
tonight.
mind. He should get tossed on
Yes,
this
he
one.
should. Give it to him. There you go.
I don't know.
That's
Just
awful.
keep going after him. This is ridiculous.
That is terrible. Shane Livensparger has cost the Marlins the tying run in this game. And that's a pretty quick hook. That is dreadful. And they should be held responsible for that. That's terrible. That's a joke.
You have got to be.
Give him more.
Keep it going. Give them everything you got.
I thought they were going to jump out of the booth.
I
Go Aztecs in the Twitch chat said exactly what I mouthed to you during that clip. I hate to blow him up, but here's the guy's first and last name,
exactly.
his address, Social Security. This is how you contact this guy because this guy sucks. Man, they blew him up.
And the reason why it was a quick, and again, he said, "Oh, it's a quick hook."
It has to be. You can't argue with New York.
You can't argue the challenge. So yeah, of course, it's a quick hook. He gets ejected just by going out there. But I mean, yeah, you kind of have to have a feel, and it happened right in front of the guy too. It was right in front of the umpire.
He's looking right at.
Exactly.
How did you miss that?
You missed it entirely.
My biggest problem is that miss clearly cost them the run. What happened after the review is done by the book? I mean, you can't be totally upset about that. You're upset because he missed the initial call and you knew that was going to tie the game. I mean, I guess you didn't know. You can't assume, but we've seen that play thousands of times. That's tying the ball game. That is a bases clearing double right there for the Miami Marlins, especially with 2 outs. Runners are going on the pitch. What was the count? Was the count full?
It was an 0-2 count.
0-2 count. All right, so they're not going on the pitch, but they're going on contact and they're moving, right? So the frustrating thing is the Marlins basically tie the game right there.
Here's the best.
But the miss ends up costing them significantly.
Here's the best way to solve this. You go back to your place when the call was missed. You go back to your place where the call was missed. We'll throw the ball into the corner. Go get it. See who beats it.
Start running.
Have fun.
It's like a jump ball in basketball.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Just go.
Yeah, that was a rough one last night, especially since because I was the Phillies were up early on Miami, and then Miami roared back. But they just I was following it on my phone, but they could not get that tying run. And I was like, what happened? They were rallying and they couldn't get it done. Then I went back and looked at this and it's like, oh man, Padres could have not lost a single spot in the standings if they had the right call here. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. That just wasn't the night last night for the Padres. At least the Diamondbacks got their ass kicked. But that Ketel Marte story is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any idea?
It's in the sports thread. He is actually on his way back to Arizona now for an MRI on his knee.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's just a cover story or what, but yeah, that's in the sports thread today.
That's interesting enough that we might have to discuss it when we come back. I got a new sports thread story for you though. Anyway,
okay.
What in the world's going on with Ketel Marte? We'll find out next. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Sending us number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We've kind of had, Frank, a wild last couple of days in the sports world.
Yeah, it has been.
I mean, there's so many stories that are just so bizarre to me. You start with the Jaden Daniels story, where it's like, bro, why are you... I heard this from Adam Shine on SiriusXM radio. He basically said, why are you urinating on every single person at LSU that treats you like a god for literally no reason?
Because he doesn't care.
Is it him or is it his mom? It's the craziest thing that you would do that. And I agree with Adam Shine too. Like, there's so many college football players, and there's been a lot of great college football numbers shouldn't be retired. Do your Ring of Honor. Don't retire the number. Like, what are we going to be, like the Yankees? I mean, there's eligible and ineligible numbers. You got to run out of numbers. You start doing this. And he's not even close to Joe Burrow in terms of, like, what he's accomplished at LSU. But, like, that was a bizarre story last week.
New starting quarterback, number 21 3/4, John Doe.
Yeah. So, the Jaden Daniels story, stupid. It's just they highly miscalculated that. What a PR nightmare now for them as everybody trolls Jaden Daniels. By the way, I saw one of our sister stations in Washington like defend Jaden Daniels about like, I can't believe all these teams are making fun. Like they were mad at the Mets for making fun of Jaden Daniels. Like, oh, you're the Mets, you can't make fun of Jaden Daniels. It's like, come on, guys. I understand.
Don't be stupid.
You're in the market, and like I get it. It's like he's your quarterback, but like, come on. Like, we're gonna be upset at the Mets right now for tweeting something out that's hilarious. If you don't like your stupid prize, don't play the stupid game. That was the dumb story. The Mark Walters situation is crazy. We're gonna get to that later on in the noon hour. It's like the more you break it down, the more it's like there's just a lot of unknowns to that story. And that right now, there are not, I think a lot of people want to try to put things together of like, because he's getting investigated by the federal government, now he's selling off all of his assets. I think a lot of people want to put those two and two together, but there's no real proof right now that that is the case. We are going to explain what exactly is going on with the Dodgers owner, who has said that they're not going to sell the Dodgers, but they have a quick sale of the Lakers. They're thinking about, or he's thinking about selling his shares in Chelsea, which obviously is interesting now here in San Diego with the new owners here with the Padres, which then stirred a bus family situation, which is also crazy, on how they laid out why this lifetime Genie Bus is in control of the Lakers despite who owns the team fiasco, where the siblings are fighting. And now that also is interesting now to the Padres because two of the Bus brothers are now owners of the Padres. I mean, there's just so much going on. And then yesterday, we are getting updates from like local media in Arizona that Ketel Marte is not with the team. And he's not here. And then you see that Ketel Marte has been put on the restricted list. And then it was like up until 10 minutes before game time, the Arizona Diamondbacks, who had just gotten to Boston from Atlanta, where he was part of the team in Atlanta and in Boston, they thought he was still going to show up 10 minutes before the game started, before they had to put him on the restricted list. This is an interesting story, too. I know you had it in the sports thread, Frank, so I'll pass over to you. What happened with Ketel Marte last night?
So basically what happened with Ketel is that he just straight wasn't there. They placed three-time All-Star Ketel Marte on the restricted list after he unexpectedly failed to show up for yesterday's game in Boston. Manager Torey Lovullo said Marte was dealing with a personal issue, but had few details. Despite speaking with Marte several times during the day, this is the second consecutive season now where Marte has unexpectedly left the team. Last year, he missed games after his Arizona home was burglarized. That one's fair. Marte, this is just stats, but the rest of it. But
so here's what. Do you have the Lovullo sound?
I was looking for it.
Okay, so you can find the Lovullo sound, and this is what an update was this morning. And there's been two updates now this morning on Ketel Marte. And the first one was from John Gamadaro of Arizona Sports 98.7 FM in Phoenix. He tweeted this out today. From what I can gather, Ketel Marte was seen at the team hotel bar with a group of people around 11 p.m. on Sunday. So definitely was seen at the hotel late last night. I have covered sports in the market for 30 years. Not sure I've seen anything quite as bizarre as this. Even more bizarre than James Jones having to hand out free beer because Josh Jackson failed to show up at an autograph signing. On top of this, ESPN's Enrique Rojas reported that Marte remains in Boston and is dealing with a personal situation. Source Ketel Marte remains in Boston, dealing with a personal situation. He and his family are fine. Marte has been in communication with the Diamondbacks through the appropriate channels and hopes to resolve this matter as soon as possible and return to playing baseball, Rojas wrote. Now, on top of that, Max Ralph on MLB.com had this to say. Marte had been pulled from Friday's game with left knee soreness and sat out Saturday before returning to action on Sunday playing second base. He did not show up for Monday's series opener in Boston against the Red Sox when he had been penciled into the lineup as the DH, as we talked about. Team waited until about 20 minutes for the first pitch to officially remove him and place him on the restricted list. It sounds like he is now headed back to Phoenix for an MRI on his left knee. The team has not confirmed the news, but that's according to MLB.com's Steve Gilbert. I can't really connect the dots on any of those things. To be honest with you, it's just none of it. Like now, this new wrinkle today about he's headed back to Arizona to look at his knee is even more. I wouldn't say crazy, but like bizarre. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially with the way. Did you find Torey Lovullo? Yes. Especially with how Torey Lovullo sounded yesterday talking about Ketel Marte after the game.
All I know is that he's dealing with a personal issue. We're trying to figure that out, and he didn't show up today, and he was put on the restricted list. That's as much as I know right now. I'm sure in time we'll start to uncover and unravel some information, but I knew that there was something going on today when I met with you guys, but I still believe he was going to be here. He just didn't show up.
Did you have communication with him?
Very little this morning, this afternoon. And I just was doing my best to reach out to him. And there's very little coming back.
So you were hopeful he was coming, and that was the holdup with the lineup?
Yeah, I think there were two pieces to that puzzle. The one was Nolan Arenado for sure. And then, Cattell was in it, and we had contingency plans in case one or both players weren't available. So once we figured out that part of the puzzle, we got that lineup moving. So we were very prepared to go in two different directions today, and you saw the final piece.
He's here though in Boston. Is he here?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
How disappointing is it that the communication wasn't relayed to you earlier?
We deal with a lot as baseball managers and coaches and teachers. So, sometimes you get disappointed, sometimes you get let down, but we're gonna figure out how to work through this.
I know he had the restricted list placement last year because he had issues where he hasn't showed up on time. Or
no, this is the first time.
As far as you saw that have a bigger impact on the clubhouse, how do you feel the players responded?
The players are gritty. They rally around one another. I know there was a lot of discussions about it at different points in time in the clubhouse today. There was a lot of curiosity. We care for Cattell, and once we knew he was okay, I think everybody relaxed and started to focus on the game. But what was the final score? 10-1, 11-1. I mean, we got our ass kicked. We got to be better.
what do you think is the way forward for Cattell?
I don't know. Just care for him and love him.
When did you start to get an inkling that this might be? How did it come about where you realized you might not?
When I woke up this morning. So I want to keep that private though.
You seem a little emotional. Are you worried?
No, not really. I love him and I care for him. It'll be okay.
There's a lot to unpack with that. I mean, that was, he obviously knows. But and by the way, this is the same thing with like any type of restricted list thing that involves a personal matter. They don't have to tell you exactly what's going on, and I'm totally fine with that. He obviously knows something is up, right? And he doesn't have to say it, but I thought he did a great job of trying to, protect Cattell. He obviously cares about his player, and it sounds like he's okay, his family's okay, but there's a lot of interesting things to point out there. Like when they asked, "Is he still here in Boston?" He had no idea. He had no idea if he was in Boston to begin with. The fact that he was trying to communicate with Ketel Marte and he didn't respond at all, or he wasn't getting anything back, right? Like that's also something that was very interesting. But here's the other part, okay? Because this happened over the weekend. So Marte missed Saturday's game because of a knee issue, and after the game on Saturday, Torey Lovullo indicated it may have been something lingering for a while since the Padres series after the trade deadline. Quote, "It's been something that's been bothering him for a couple of days since the Padres series. He's been trying to gut it out, and he moved to his left, and he just got a little bit too much. It just got a little bit too much for him, and that's why he didn't play on Saturday." So this was addressed before today. I don't think it's this like long cover up in terms of like using the knee injury to protect him. It sounds like I think that's a separate issue. But the latest report that we got today from Nick Picoro, who covers the Diamondbacks, was he is in fact on his way to Arizona to get an MRI on his knee. But this is just a bizarre story that doesn't make a lot of sense, and it continues to not make a lot of sense when it comes to Ketel Marte and why he wasn't at the game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, and I also looked, that home burglary was in July of last year. It was like right around the All-Star break, coming out of the All-Star break. So I thought maybe an issue with timing as well. Maybe he did the same time last year, but if there's something personal wrong with him, of course you hope everything is okay and what's going on there. But it's just, I think it's drawing a little bit more attention because it's the same player in back-to-back years. I think it would have drawn attention either way, a player just going AWOL from a team. But I think it's drawing a little bit more because it's the second time in the last 2 seasons and it's the same guy.
Yeah, he's had some things happen this year to him. And obviously he has battled with some of that stuff throughout the years, as we've seen from some reports from people that cover the Arizona Diamondbacks. And obviously that's a big reason why I think why Torey Lovullo was, very visibly emotional. I don't know if you could hear it over the airwaves or over the radio, but like Lovullo's like fighting back tears in this press conference. And it's not because they lost yesterday. I mean, he didn't even know what the score was.
He tried to shift it over like, hey guys, let's start talking about the game now. We lost.
Right. But I mean, the pressing matters the fact that a player on a Major League Baseball team didn't show up for work, and there wasn't really a reason why. And like the best part, though, of course, is like he knows where. At least they said he was okay. Like and I think that's the biggest concern. I think for a lot of the media first, it's like, well, where is Ketel? What's going on? Why isn't he here? Why do you guys not know why he's not here? It's not like, because somebody was, people were asking like, well, maybe it was a violation of team rules. Maybe it was this, maybe it was that. I'm like, if that was the case, they would tell you, like, he's been put on the restricted list for violating team. Like, they would know exactly. They would be telling you why. They would be waiting for him to show up 10 minutes before the game started, like still hoping he was going to play. I mean, that's the part where things get a little scary, I think, for a lot of people. It's like, well, what happened to him? Where is he? How do you not know where a Major League Baseball player is? But they knew where he was the whole time. At least the Diamondbacks said they did. And it sounds like right now he's going back to Arizona to have an MRI in his knee. I don't necessarily think those things are related. That might just be a coincidence that he happened to be going to get a look at his knee that he has been dealing with for the last couple of days. But it's just a fascinating story of what happened yesterday. And it's not too crazy because, people were asking us about like the CJ Abrams thing when he was at a casino late at night, right? I mean, but when a Major League Baseball player, when a professional athlete doesn't show up for work in any capacity, it's going to get a lot of attention because this is something that doesn't normally happen. And so that's why yesterday it was crazy. And then the crazier part was it wasn't because they didn't put him on the bereavement list. They didn't put him on the paternity list. It was a restricted list. And it's like, he didn't show up today. That's going to cause a stir. We'll see if there's any more reports on that. We'll keep you updated here on the show if we can see anything else. We are an hour in. When we come back, we're going to talk more Padres baseball, talk about the aggressive base running, unsung heroes in the lineup and bullpen, and rotation management with Joe Musgrove on the horizon. All up next. we at? Just getting started. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, setting his number sports station 97.3 The Fan. Good to be with all of you today on a Tuesday. A lot of weird stories going on in the sports world right now. We just talked about the Ketel Marte situation. Later on in the noon hour, we're going to talk about what's going on with Mark Walter, what's going on with Jeannie Buss, what's going on with the Lakers, Chelsea. Does it have an impact on the Dodgers? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. We're also talking, of course, about the Padres, about Padres baseball. I did see this. We did get an update on this, but the bullpen, we talked about yesterday using the bullpen and being strategic about it, obviously, to try to give guys like Morejon and Miller a little bit of rest. We got an update on Jason Adam. Jason Adam took another step in his recovery from a shoulder strain. He is still likely at least 4 weeks away. But the Padres believe he could ramp up quickly once he gets further into his throwing program. Adam hasn't pitched since June 29th. Track record with San Diego is obviously excellent. 1.88 ERA in 128 games since joining the Padres in 2024. If he's able to return around mid-September, that could effectively function as a late-season pickup. And unlike a new player coming from another team, Adam already knows the clubhouse, the culture, right? The coaches. Get Adam healthy, it definitely changes things. But 4 weeks away is a long time, Frank. I know it's probably set more up for, maybe the postseason, to say the least. But, we start looking at the rotation management. We look at the bullpen management. With getting a guy like Joe Musgrove back potentially soon and a guy like Jason Adam back, it drastically changes what this pitching staff looks like going in October. I mean, you could look at, two of the worst pitchers on your team and just replace them with two guys that are proven veterans. That's a nice pickup for this kind of final push, but more importantly for October.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to get more help out of that bullpen would be absolutely huge. To be able to save, we were talking about it yesterday, saving Morejon, saving Mason Miller for a little bit. To get Jason Adam back, that'll definitely be a big help for sure.
And you start looking at the rotation, and you got Michael King, you got Casey Mize, you got Robbie Ray, you got Walker Buehler. I mean, at this point, I think Randy Vasquez is probably the odd man out when you bring Joe Musgrove back. Where he probably moves to the bullpen. But you're going to have to make some interesting decisions here on the bullpen with Jason Adam coming back. Now you had a month before Jason Adam comes back, but I think this rotation and this bullpen is going to be good enough to make it through October. But you got to get there first. And last night, obviously, didn't really go in the right direction for a couple of things. The Red Sox beat up on the Diamondbacks, so that was good news. But you chased the Phillies by a game, really a game and a half because they were the tiebreaker. You got a lead on the Arizona Diamondbacks, and this is going to be a tight race to the finish, I think. And it's not like there are too many teams right behind them, but they're still within striking distance. I know like the Marlins losing kind of helps a little bit for the Padres. It's probably better to have the Phillies lose, though, than the Marlins right now. But as everything stands, one game up on Arizona, or you're trying to distance yourself from 3 games up on Miami and St. Louis. And that's really it. I at this point with the Cardinals being 6.5 back, the Pirates being 6.5 back, I really can't envision anybody, the Pirates or lower, being part of this race. It is now gone down to San Diego, Philadelphia, Arizona, Miami, and then St. Louis for the final couple of spots in the wild card.
Yeah, for sure. And to be able to get some of that depth back, and especially a solid arm like Jason Adam, would be absolutely huge coming down the stretch of this late season run here.
Right. So I think it's interesting when it comes to the situation here with the wild card race, because it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight finish. And again, Chicago beat the White Sox yesterday. The Cubs did. So they have now got back to a 6-game lead. I think it's going to be very difficult to try to track down one of the teams in the National League Central for that number 4 seed. The Dodgers winning yesterday and the Braves losing have now put them back into a first-round bye situation. They haven't been playing really good baseball. Even yesterday, they're playing the Rockies. They beat up on the Rockies, but their usual problems, Edwin Diaz gave up some runs. His ERA is like over 11. And as on top of that, Frank, how about Kyle Tucker yesterday? Man, is that guy having a rough week?
Yeah, he's going through it right now.
But that's again, that goes back to the Dodgers can pay that guy $60 million and he doesn't have to be a stud. It doesn't. They can just absorb it, right? I mean, that's the living proof of that right there. So, anyway, I think it's going to be tough for that to get to the point where the Padres can climb into that number 4 spot. But we'll see. We'll see what the Padres have in store. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. The base running, we still need to talk about a little bit more. Are the Padres being too aggressive on the base paths? I don't know. You like it when it works. You don't like it when it doesn't work. I'd almost rather have them be aggressive. But if you look at, they're talking about MLB Network right now. Carson Bench on Monday was the 3rd fastest outfield throw ever in StatCast history. Sometimes you got to chalk it up as all right, it just kind of wasn't our night last night. Fernando got underneath that ball that ended up being a sac fly instead of a home run. They get thrown at the plate a couple of times. One of them was a bad decision. The other 2 were a couple of great plays. One of them's on the player. One of them's on the fact that Manny's a little banged up right now. I mean, you could go through the whole list of last night's game, but overall, that's just kind of a tough loss on the road. But we talked about it. You want to go 4-2 on this road trip. That would be awesome. But if you play 500 ball on the road and you take care of business at home, that's usually a recipe for success, Frank, for any team that makes the playoffs.
Yeah, and of course you want to win these next 2 games, and unfortunately for the Padres, you're catching the Mets at a bad time. They have been incredibly hot here recently, so that doesn't really help you. But these next 2 days, Zach Thornton, who you see tonight, that could go either way. But you have Robert Stock you're facing tomorrow. That should be a walk in the park win for the Padres easily.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to John in Carlsbad who wants to weigh in. John, what's going on?
Hey, Braden. You guys may have already talked about this, but I'm just getting in the car. But was thinking about this with the wild card race in tow, and please call a foul on me if you guys have discussed this, but ideal matchup or slot that you would want the Padres to be in. Obviously, chasing the Cubs at this point in time, but projected matchups and things along those lines. Curious to get your thoughts on if they would prefer to have the 2 or the 3 seed just based on projected matchups.
No foul on John. It's all right. Just tune in. We actually have not discussed that. I haven't paid too much attention to that. Well, I mean, I'm looking at right now, since the Padres are not in a position where it seems like they're definitely going to make the postseason, because Arizona, Miami, and St. Louis are right there. It's hard to be worried about matchups before you're even in the postseason. But it is fun to discuss. It is fun to have this conversation. It's the question of whether or not you want to be, on the road in Chicago or on the road against the number 3 seed in the National League. As of right now, Frank, I don't see a world in which Atlanta at the end of the season is in a better position than LA. I know LA has not been playing that great, right, as of late. They had a big win yesterday. We looked over the Dodgers schedule for the remaining part of the year. They don't have too many testers anymore. They get to play the Giants 7 times in the last 3 series of the year. Maybe it's 6 times. I mean, they're going to be definitely in a spot that's either a 1 seed or a 2 seed, because they don't trail the Brewers by that many runs. So I don't think they're going to be the 3. I think Atlanta's going to be the 3. And so the question then becomes, Do you want to be the team that goes to Atlanta to play, and then you play the 2, which is probably going to be LA? Maybe. I mean, if LA gets the 1, then you wouldn't have to worry about them if you got the 6th seed. I just, are you worried about LA right now or Milwaukee? I mean, the Padres have shown that they could beat up on Milwaukee. They did it at home. I know Milwaukee, you missed Mizorowski. You didn't have to deal with him. You lost 2 out of 3 on the road, but you won the season series against Milwaukee, which was a little banged up when they played you here at Petco Park. I think you got the Brewers at the right time. But you're going to play somebody good in the next round anyway. So, in terms of would you rather go to Chicago or Atlanta? I think the Padres match up with the Braves a lot better than they do the Cubs, but each have their own pros and cons. They have their strengths and their weaknesses. I mean, if you want to go the Chicago route and then run into the number 1 seed Milwaukee, I don't necessarily think that's a bad path. I think your better chance of hosting a playoff game after making it through the wild card is by going through Atlanta. I don't know what it is, Frank. Atlanta doesn't really scare me as much as Chicago does, the way Chicago's been playing.
I think part of that is because the Padres have had Atlanta's number here recently. They haven't
really had the Cubs number.
Yeah, the Padres have had a lot of success here against Atlanta. You beat them 2 out of 2 in the wild card a couple of years ago, so that also helps as far as recency bias. But they have played against Atlanta very, very well. The Cubs have been a completely different story. I'm not all that frightened of the Dodgers when it comes to the postseason.
You're going to have a bunch of people yelling at you in about 5 seconds.
That's cool. The Padres have handled business against the Dodgers in the postseason. Regular season's been a different story.
Except for the 1 year that they lost in the playoffs. They actually did well in the regular season against the Dodgers.
Right.
But there's something to be said about the Dodgers when they have to play with pressure and the playoffs are a little bit more pressure. The Padres have punched them in the mouth twice. I know they lost the second one and had that, fluke 24 consecutive inning scoreless streak, whatever it was. But I agree with you, Frank. This is the when you get to the postseason play, it changes the dynamic a little bit. It's not like you can cruise through the season like they've done the last couple of years. I know they've won the last 2 World Series, but I kind of agree with you. I mean, they were on the ropes in both years that they ended up winning the World Series. They ran into they got what they needed late in the series against the Padres, and then they were 1 play away from losing the World Series last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of agree with you on that. I'm also not afraid of Milwaukee in the postseason because Milwaukee has yet to show that they can win in the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is. I mean, if you're looking at teams as far as danger to the Padres, I would put the Cubs probably as number 1, Dodgers number 2, then go down the line after that, depending upon who's in. If the Phillies are in, I'm throwing the Phillies up there at number 3. But there's really only one team that scares me into the postseason, and that would be Chicago.
Right now, but the Chicago debate is they're pitching. They don't have enough pitching. Everybody says they don't have enough pitching. They're still continuing to win with their slugging. If everything about the postseason is about pitching, and the Cubs on paper compared to all the teams probably have the least amount of pitching out of the group.
What did we talk about yesterday though? Teams that win in the postseason hit home runs. And that's exactly what the Cubs are doing right now.
Frank, I'm on that side of things. I think the pitching thing is overrated. But if the element of the postseason is you have to have great pitching, and great pitching always beats good hitting, wouldn't you want to play the Cubs because they don't have enough pitching?
I don't want to go to Chicago. In a series where you don't get a chance to come home in a wild card series, I don't want to go to Chicago again.
I tell you what, they probably play the divisional series is probably Padres Brewers or whatever. They don't reseed. Padres Brewers if they had ABS last year.
Yeah, potentially, yes.
Think about how think about now after seeing ABS for a full, almost a full season now. Think about all the moments that have been changed, good and bad, for the Padres because of ABS that ends up leading to big innings for them or whatever. Like, they get an ABS challenge on that Bogarts call that was terrible. That was significant. The Padres were about to were rallying right there in the last inning. That might change the dynamic in Game 3. I just think this is going to be the best test to see if pitching always wins in the postseason, because you need to be able to hit too. Like the thing that people forget that they never want to bring up: teams that have really good pitching but don't have good offenses don't advance in the postseason. They hardly ever do.
To Augie in the chat, I don't want to go to Chicago. I would rather go to Atlanta than
I
go
don't
to
mind.
Chicago
I'm not
in a
afraid of
wild card
Atlanta.
series.
I'm not afraid of Atlanta. No.
In a wild card series, I would much rather go to Atlanta. I don't mind playing the Cubs if that means I get a couple of games at home. But if it comes down to you have to play a 3-game set on the road, I would much rather go to Atlanta.
And this goes back to what we talked about last year. If the Padres had taken care of business in the first couple of months last year, they would have hosted the Cubs instead of going to Chicago. This is the downside of the whole, like, we're not worried, check the back of the baseball card argument, is instead of hosting playoff games, if you make it that far because you took care of business and now you can coast to the second half of the season, now you have to go to somewhere that you don't want to go. Now you don't have guaranteed home playoff games. And the Padres have found themselves in that position a couple of times now. They've only hosted one wild card series on this group. They went to New York one year.
Yes.
They went to Chicago. I don't think they've never gotten a bye at this point, right? Because they haven't won the division. So it's.
Yeah, they only hosted in 24 against the Braves.
Yeah. And they handled, and the Braves had nothing left. Like, the pitching wise was just, they had nothing, absolutely nothing. I honestly don't think there's like a clear cut path that you would absolutely want in terms of the postseason. I mean, you're going to have to run into somebody good. The 5 teams in front of you are all good. You've won the season series against 2 of them. You've lost the season series against 3. Have they officially lost the season series to the Dodgers? They have, because there's 3 games left.
Yeah.
And they haven't really been close. And the team behind you, you're tied with in the season series. So it's been, I don't necessarily think there's a path that you absolutely want to go through. I will say this: I don't think there's a lot of teams that want to draw San Diego in the first round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you could, Philly is somebody you're not going to be able to, you're not playing. You're not going to play Philly, because I don't think Philly's going to catch Chicago either. I don't think you're in a situation where you play Philadelphia in the playoffs in the first round, because that would mean that both you and Philadelphia pass Chicago, which I don't think is going to happen. But like, they're a team that's, is a little bit old on the older side, and they have good pitching, but like, their offense has been inconsistent. It's like the Cubs and the Phillies are like the reciprocal of each other. One's got really good bats and not enough pitching. One's got really good pitching and not enough bats. So we'll see what happens as we get closer, but you got to get there first. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the impact of some unsung heroes in the lineup and the bullpen as laid out by MLB.com. We'll get to that next. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I do want to get to a couple of things here with the Padres in this next segment, and then later on we're going to talk. We're going to get to Aztec football. Go Aztecs in the Twitch chat. We are going to get to that later on in the 1 o'clock hour. We didn't have time to get to that today, yesterday, but we're going to get to that later on in the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to get to a couple of different conversations here about the Padres in particular. One of them being, the base running philosophy. I think a lot of people all of a sudden, Frank, don't like the aggressiveness on the base paths because of the fact that it didn't work out yesterday. In terms of would you rather be aggressive or conservative on the base paths, I still lean towards being more aggressive because I think that causes chaos. And I think over the long term, I do agree with the Padres' philosophy. It usually leads to an additional amount of runs. Last night is one of those nights where sometimes other team makes some plays. Maybe you're a little bit too aggressive in terms of situations early in the contest where, things don't really work out. I think a lot of people, and rightfully so, should be upset that getting thrown out at the plate 3 times the first 2 innings is definitely unacceptable. But at the same time, I don't think they should be changing their offensive philosophy in terms of being aggressive on the base paths.
No, I think you don't want to run yourself into outs. You also don't want to leave potential runs out there as well. So if you get a guy in a situation, you like the matchup, speed versus arm, and you want to stretch it, I don't have a problem with that. Again, I think we both agree that Jake should not have been sent in the first inning yesterday. Jake being sent was a genuine mistake. Manny getting sent was the right call. That's one where you have to go. And then Xander taking it upon himself, can't really blame anyone on that other than Xander. He took accountability for it, as he should, being his call. And then you also had a forced play at the plate as well to make 4 guys thrown out at home yesterday. But that's what comes with it. So you live by the sword, you die by it too.
Yeah, that's kind of what it takes, when you're aggressive. I think the same thing is, in football, right? Like these high tempo air raid offenses that you see in college football are fun when they're working.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen the other side of that. Like when I was in college and working for my college team, like they led the country in offense in 2014. I mean, they were going up 14-0 on people in like 2 minutes. It would be 14-0 at 3 minutes into the game. In the first quarter. It was great, high-powered offense. The next year, they weren't nearly as good, and guess what they were doing? They were turning the 3 and out in 25 seconds, 30 seconds. And it's like, all right, well, now our defense is on the field like the entire time, and we're getting smoked in games, and this kind of high-tempo thing ain't working no more. Mm-hmm. You live by the sword, you die by the sword, especially when it comes to aggressiveness. I think overall, we talked about this in the first hour, in terms of like the plays at the plate, the only one that was a little bit much was the Jake Cronenworth one. Because of the situation, there was 1 out at the time, and you had 4 consecutive hits against Nolan McLean. It's the first inning. The offense has been clicking for the last couple of weeks, and Nolan McLean doesn't look very good out of the gate. And you give him a bailout by having a send on a play in which it wasn't like 2 outs where Jake's going on contact. He had to wait to make sure the Ty France hit dropped in. And so that one was the mistake. Manny Machado with 2 outs. Maybe you try to hold him because he's been dealing with some leg issues since April, as reported in the Kevin Acee Daily newsletter. Maybe you got to know your personnel a little bit more. But with 2 outs and a hit to the outfield, we should be able to score a run there. Not super against it. The third one is not on Henley. Xander Bogaerts confirmed that yesterday. He thought he really had it. He thought he had a great jump. He thought based on where the player was, Ewing was, he could make it home. It was a bang-bang play at the plate. Didn't work out in the Padres' favor. That's a big hang with them. So last night, in terms of mistakes, didn't think the Machado send was a big mistake. I thought the Cronenworth one could be a mistake for Bob Henley, the third base coach. I didn't think the The last one was a mistake on Henley. It's more of your guys being aggressive. And here's the thing, like, if your philosophy is going to be aggressive base running, you want Xander to be aggressive in that situation.
Yeah,
that's what you're asking him to do. So if you are telling these guys, if you think you got it, you got to go for it because we want to be aggressive, then you're going to have some of those plays like that. And I mean, I working for USD Baseball, they have the philosophy of being aggressive too. And they say, if we fail, we are going to fail aggressively. You can't get mad when your players start doing it then, because that's what the philosophy is.
And it's not like Xander was thrown out by a mile either, the way Jake and Manny were. It took a perfect throw from AJ Ewing to get him at the plate. And Ewing this time was equal to the task. And it was a bang play at the plate. So I wouldn't even blame Xander for that, because it was close. If he was out by a country mile, then we gotta have a conversation on when it's okay to be aggressive. But it took a perfect play from AJ Ewing, and in this case, he was equal to the task. And he does that 9 more times. He maybe gets Xander 2 or 3 more times, maybe, if that. This was just one of the 10 that came up.
Yeah, it just happened to be like that. So it's an unfortunate game last night for the Padres. Hopefully they can bounce back today as they try to even up the series at 1 apiece. Hopefully they can get a little bit of help from the Marlins today against Philadelphia, and maybe some more help from Boston against Arizona. This was in AJ Cassaville's newsletter, the unsung heroes of this team. And the thing is when you talk about teams that win championships, they have stars that play extremely well, but they get a lot of production from the bottom of the roster. They have more complete rosters. So the Padres have had this little bit of a turnaround right now, and it's not just about their stars finally acting and playing like stars, but you're getting a lot of unexpected production from players who were supposed to be supporting cast. The Padres have won 17 of their last 22 games since July 24th, and they're tied with Philadelphia for second in the National League wildcard position. That was just going into yesterday with 36 games remaining. The biggest change is that the lineup is finally getting contributions, not only from the top of the roster with Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill, but also from the bottom of the roster and some of the supporting cast like Ty France, like Luis Rengifo, Luis Camposano. And that is something we're going to dive into. The supporting cast, why it's so important for this Padres team. We're going to discuss that next and get you a sports thread when we come back. 11:38 on a Tuesday. Padres trying to bounce back today after a loss yesterday, but a lot of the success that the Padres have had as of late has been, of course, the Stars. But on top of that, we have had some great production out of a lot of different players. And that's what makes championship teams. And that's what makes teams that make the playoffs. That's what makes teams that make runs in the postseason, teams that have contributions from everybody across the board. And there's been some very much unsung heroes on this team. And I think the biggest unsung hero and perhaps the biggest unexpected MVP of the season is, of course, Ty France. I mean, you got him on a minor league deal in spring training. You were hoping he would make the team for vibes, right? It was like, hey, I kind of rooting for Ty France. It'd be great to see him back in a Padres uniform. Aztec for life. We had him so long ago. Traded him to Seattle in 2020. Yeah, it'd be great to have him back. Coming off a Gold Glove season, you were expecting him to maybe spot start at first base, platoon a little bit, maybe be a pinch hitter. He ends up being your cleanup hitter and being one of your best players. In fact, he's probably your MVP of the season. I mean, he barely appeared to have a secure spot on the opening day roster. Padres had other first base options, including Miguel Andujar, Nick Castellanos, right? Ty France trying to battle his way on the team. Instead, Ty France became arguably the team's most productive overall player. 3.3 WAR in 99 games, which is best on the Padres, has provided consistent offense while playing strong defense at first base, and his consistency may be his biggest contribution. The fascinating part is that Ty France wasn't even supposed to be a centerpiece of this team. He went from, can he make the roster, to why isn't he hitting in the middle of the order? I mean, think about how big of an impact Ty France has been for this team, for when right now, at the end of near the end of the season, as he's adding contributions to when the Stars are playing, but also, Frank, at the beginning part of the year when he was helping keep this team afloat. It's been great.
Yeah, he is. Remember, we were talking about him being one of the last guys off the bench too, because you knew what Miguel Andujar was going to be. He was going to be a left-handed DH against lefties. You were hoping Nick Castellanos could take some plays over at first base. Some injuries kind of forced the hand, but where would this team be without?
Excuse you.
Sorry, without Ty France, especially since the All-Star break. He has been the reason that this Padres team is as close as it is.
Right. I think he's the biggest unsung hero, if not the MVP of the season for this team. I mean, if the way Fernando's been playing as of late, if he played like that the entire year, he'd be the MVP. But right now, it's got to be Ty France. The other big contributor is Luis Rengifo. I mean, I think some of it's a little unnoticed because the team has been playing well and they started to play well right before Rengifo. And they picked him up on the scrap heap, right? I mean, they gave him a minor league deal. It was kind of a random thing like, hey, look, the Padres picked up Luis Rengifo. And so they bring him up after Milwaukee released him late June. Padres picked him up on a minor league deal. He hit 205 with a 254 slugging percentage in Milwaukee. And with the Padres now, 323 average, a 473 slugging, and he's only played in 27 games. He hit the first grand slam of his career against Milwaukee during the Padres sweep of the Brewers. The obvious question is how much of this is sustainable for a guy like Luis Rengifo, but the Padres needed a jolt, right? They got a little bit of a jolt out of Samad Taylor. He got hurt. They needed something else. He gave you the jolt that you needed. He provided that exact kind of, exactly what the doctor ordered. And, the Padres, they're probably not on this big run if it wasn't for a guy like Luis Rengifo. And in terms of how sustainable it is, he is actually regressing back to the mean of what he usually is year after year as a consistent hitter for the Angels. He just didn't have it in Milwaukee.
Speaking of Samad Taylor, it was announced a half hour ago the El Paso Chihuahuas are getting Samad Taylor back as he's now on a rehab assignment. So he will be at AAA El Paso tonight. But yeah, I mean, Rengifo was, especially coming out of the All-Star break, when he's slugging home runs, which is something that he doesn't normally do. That is a big boost. And also to be able to play left field. That was kind of Samad Taylor kind of started the engine cranking with this team, but Luis Rengifo doing what he was able to do coming out of the All-Star break and really helping this team in ways that he doesn't normally play was really what turned the engine over for this team.
So those are a couple players that you brought in at some point during this year. You had one in Luis Camposano that finally became the player I think the Padres thought they had when he was a top prospect in the organization. When he has stayed through multiple trade deadlines, when he was expected to be the catcher of the future, right? I mean, he has dealt with injuries. He has shown a lot of inconsistency. He spent the most of last season in AAA El Paso. I mean, he didn't have a hit in Major League Baseball for a long period of time. I think Elo said like over 500 consecutive days he had gone without getting a hit at the Major League level. But he started the season with a 958 OPS in his first 18 games. He got hurt again, but then he returned in early July, and he's continued to hit. I mean, his defense behind the plate's been okay. It's still kind of probably on the concerning side, but offensively he's providing real value alongside Freddie Fermin. And, it's exactly what the Padres needed out of the catcher position. They needed something that was productive offensively, especially after last year, Frank, when they got almost no production out of their catching situation.
Right. And he has been very, very good. He definitely has turned the corner. And now it comes at a very interesting time because you have Freddie Fermin, who's under control. And now you also have this young kid coming up in Ethan Salas, who you have for 6 years minimum, potentially 5, if things change with the CBA. But it comes at a very unfortunate time for the Padres and Luis Camposano because you have the replacement pieces already in line for him. and now he's starting to really blossom into the player that the Padres thought he would be.
The last one is Kyle Hart, which I think is somebody that a lot of fans might not think is that important. I'm kind of I was one of those too. It's like he's been okay. He's been like super fantastic when you would think about Kyle Hart in a Padres uniform. But Brian Lawrence brought it up last week on the roundtable. And you know what? I think he makes a good point. Like, he doesn't have those eye-popping numbers. 4.20 ERA over 49 in the third innings. But his value has been about how the Padres have been able to use him. Opening games, finishing games, providing length, bridging innings to the back end of the bullpen, absorbing innings during the rotation crisis that they had, becoming more effective as the season has progressed. And over his last 11 appearances, 2.16 ERA, 16 2/3 innings, 9 scoreless appearances. I mean, this is particularly important because Craig Stammen has had to use pitching chaos because of the rotation's instability, and Hart represents the type of pitcher every contender needs. He doesn't have to be spectacular. He just needs to be the Swiss Army knife back there to get you into and out of situations, and he has done that job in a tremendous way. He, I think, is the definition of an unsung hero when it comes to this roster.
Yeah, and a guy who has not gotten a lot of love, and when he's gone out there in opportunities where he's had to eat it, he's limited the damage as much as he could. He's kept games close. He's gone out there multiple innings. You can also use him as a starter. Also added to the value that he is a left-handed pitcher. That is very, very big. So Kyle Hart, for a guy who you didn't know what kind of place he had on this team, he may not have found a place purely just yet, but he has certainly been a guy who has thrived in every situation that he has been asked to fill.
So the Padres' recent success is obviously, had a lot to do with Machado and Tatis and Merrill, and they've had to carry the team. But now, like, they're getting they're getting contributions from the stars, contribution from role players, depth, versatility, and that makes this a lot more of a complete team and a much more dangerous team when it comes to October. Again, they still have to get there first. There's still a lot of baseball that needs to be played. We're going to pivot from that. We have a couple of minutes now. We're going to get to today's sports thread. Obviously, we already talked about the Ketel Marte situation, but we got a lot more to discuss in the sports world.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on in the sports world today? Lots going on.
This isn't in the sports thread, but did you see USA Today's rankings of all the ballparks that they put out yesterday?
No. Did they screw that up?
Royally. We'll discuss that a little bit later on.
Number 1.
Let's make that into a segment for sure.
Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones.
This has to be good if you start something off with Jerry Jones.
Says he's willing to give up some of Dallas's future assets if it means improving the roster and making a legitimate Super Bowl run this season. After signing veteran pass rusher Von Miller, Jones made it clear that the Cowboys are still open to making another significant move if the right opportunity comes along. Miller brings experience, leadership, and championship pedigree to a pass rush that Dallas believes can be a major strength. Should Jerry Jones be aggressive and trade future assets for another impact player, or should the Cowboys stay patient and trust the roster they already have?
I think their roster right now is fine. I really do. I think they improved the defense. They got, the offense is solid with George Pickens, with CeeDee Lamb. As receivers, they ended up getting a pretty big, nice deal with the running back situation over there. Plus, you got Dak Prescott. I don't think they should, hamper the future at this point. They can keep doing well in the draft. The Von Miller pickup was kind of ridiculous, though. I mean, that's sick like 8 years ago. It's not sick anymore.
No, exactly.
Number 2.
MLB's return to the Field of Dreams site in Dyersville, Iowa, drew an average 1.66 million viewers on Netflix as the Phillies defeated the Twins 7-1 behind 2 home runs from Kyle Schwarber. It was Netflix's first time carrying one of MLB's special event games, and the audience had a median age of 46, making it the youngest audience for an MLB special event. The numbers were slightly higher than last year's Speedway Classic on Fox, which averaged 1.6 million viewers, but well below the 2.5 million who watched the game in 2024 at Rickwood Field. Do these numbers prove Major League Baseball's special event games still have a strong place in baseball, or does MLB need to find a way to make these games more appealing to younger audiences?
I mean, they got they got 1 point something million?
1.66.
And when Fox had it, they had 5 million? They did.
For the first Field of Dreams.
Yes, correct. I think there's a couple of things that went wrong with this. Okay. Number one, they scheduled it for the first day of the NFL. That's number one.
That's a big issue.
Okay. That's a big issue because the Hall of Fame game drew incredible numbers because America loves football. I would probably avoid doing that next to go around. So that's number one. Number two, you had 2 teams that have it just was kind of not a big deal. I mean, I know you're trying to pick one for the American, one for the National, try to mix it up like that. Maybe. I know you have to pick somebody from the Central because you got to make a series out of it after the fact. But Phillies and Twins is not really moving the needle. I mean, it's unfortunate because you have to pick these teams so far in advance, right? Philadelphia you thought would be a good option. There's no way anybody thought picking Minnesota was a good option. I mean, here's the other thing about the Field of Dreams game. It's a one-off, which is fine. I think the idea is cool, but it's a random game in August that most baseball fans are not going to just tune into. It's not the NFL where you have, everybody watches every single game. In baseball, everything's localized, so I'm sure Minnesota fans and Phillies fans were stoked, but me as a Padres fan that, had other things going on at 4:00 on a Thursday, I'm not interested. And I'm especially not interested the fact that it's on Netflix on top of the fact that they didn't really do a good job promoting the event anyway. There's so many things wrong with that. If you're going to do these one-off events, which I think are fine, I don't mind them in Major League Baseball. I think they're kind of cool. I don't think you could sell it to Netflix. I don't think you could not market it as much as, as limited as you did. And I also don't think you should have it compete against the NFL on their first day. Catastrophic disaster in terms of the lead into this. Good. The viewers are slightly younger because some kid accidentally hit that instead of watching Bluey on Netflix. But aside from that, it's come on.
Yeah,
they need to put that in a better date that's more at the center of attention for baseball.
100%.
Number 3.
The Bills' brand new $2.1 billion Highmark Stadium got its first real test on Saturday, and the new grass field showed noticeable wear during the preseason opener against Carolina. Chunks of turf were coming loose, and the grounds crew had to replace divots during the game and reseed worn areas afterwards. Bills officials say there are no major concerns, explaining that Kentucky bluegrass is still developing its roots and will become more stable over time. The field is also switching Buffalo from artificial turf to grass, something players in the NFLPA have strongly preferred. Should Bills fans be concerned about the condition of the field, or is this just part of the process of breaking in a grass field?
This is the downside of grass. This is why they put in turf, right? Football destroys grass. So I know I'm in the believer you should be playing on grass instead of turf, but there's going to be some growing pains, and especially in cities like Buffalo where weather's going to be a big factor. So we'll see if they can figure it out for the season, but yeah, I think it's part of the process. When we come back, more stories in sports.
Padres.
San Diego. Let's get to it. No fluff, no filters, just San Diego sports the way it's supposed to be.
When one asset of your game is not performing at a high level, you need the other portions of your game to step up and overcome those things.
The takes hit different here.
You know, everybody's all worried about the Padres not hitting home runs. The Padres don't need to hit home runs to win games. The home runs are going to come. It's finding different ways to win.
This is the Braden Surprenant Show.
All right, I was gonna do this. I mean, this was not planned today, at least for me. But this came out yesterday. Frank was gonna have it in the sports thread.
Oh no, I saw it.
Oh, you just saw it.
I saw it just as the sports thread was starting.
And as you mentioned it, it popped up on my Twitter feed over here. Just the rank. Somebody posted like the top 10 on here.
Yeah, probably.
And as soon as I looked at the top 10, I immediately was like, we got to talk about this. Okay, so USA Today, their writer Gabe Lacroix.
Sure. That would be my guess.
That would be my guess, too. At 5:50 in the morning yesterday, he put out this best MLB stadiums, all 30 ballparks ranked by staying power. All right. Staying power. I mean, what are we doing? He goes, a picturesque view of a body of water, a well-seasoned concession snack, a home team that doesn't make you question your life choices, all go into the rubric to determine our favorite ballparks.
Rubric. Using big words.
Yeah. Yet there are all other factors that rarely assessed, but have become increasingly significant as major league teams' stadium shelf life continues shrinking and replacement costs soar. Sure, maybe you like your stadium to have that new car smell, but there's something to be said about the longevity. In short, as he said, better a ballpark lasts 115 seasons than 20. Okay. So, he ranked MLB's 30 ballparks by both aesthetics and generational durability. Note, public money estimates may not fully reflect all franchise benefits such as property tax breaks, land acquisition, infrastructure costs, yada, 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 yada. Okay. So, it's about aesthetics and how long the stadium can last, I guess. In which, if that's the case, I just...
Atlanta's number 30 in that case.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense, like the rankings at it. So he has Fenway Park number 1. I will tell you this. I've been to Fenway now. I went there this year to watch the Padres win. Fenway's cool. Out of all the ballparks, like Fenway, that's not Petco Park. Coors Field, for me, was always my favorite. Fenway might have taken the lead as the number 1 park. I like it more than Wrigley. I like the surrounding area. I think Fenway Park is awesome. I mean, they've been in use for 115 seasons now. I think it's great. I think Wrigley Field's all right. I mean, the actual stadium itself is there for nostalgia. They're coming at number 2. They've been in existence for 112 years, right? Like the surrounding area is awesome. It's cool. But like both of those stadiums are now in a position in which like they're kind of
they're landmarks. You can't get rid of them.
Yeah, now. But like they're not in terms of like being at the game, it's not like all these new ballparks. Like their beer selection, the food, locations of bathrooms, the comfortability of like the seats. Like you go there for the nostalgia and you go there for like, wow, man, it's a cool park and you're watching traditional teams. Right? Like it's not the same. They got Dodger Stadium 3. Dodger Stadium, since they went with like the mid-century modern remodel, it's been a lot better. I'm not going to be a Padres fan that's going to sit here and just crush Dodger Stadium because it's the Dodgers. I mean, it's hard to get into. It's hard to get out of.
Did you see? Speaking of getting into and out of Dodger Stadium, did you see? I believe somebody I think ran and hit one of the Dodger Stadium signs.
Excuse me? All right,
I'm trying.
I'll let you figure that
The
out.
iconic Dodger Stadium sign significantly damaged by a car crash. Was heavily damaged after a car slammed into it over the weekend. The vehicle crashed into a gate near an entrance to the Dodgers home venue around 3:02 in the morning on Sunday. Video aftermath of the wreck captured by Caught LA showed the driver of a BMW appear to lose control while exiting a nearby freeway and slamming into the base of the sign before careening into the gate.
Wow.
It's a really sad picture of it. The U is upside down.
All right, so they're going with nostalgia stadiums first, right? So he goes Fenway Park, he goes Wrigley Field, he goes Dodger Stadium. I've been to all three of those places. If I had to rank them in that order, in order, that would be my order I would have them in. But I wouldn't have out of those three. I've also been to Oracle Park, which comes in at number 4. Oracle Park's cool. Surrounding area is nice, right? I mean, it's fine. It's probably better than Dodger Stadium with the view that they have, but that's not necessarily a nostalgia park. Number 5, Kauffman Stadium. I can make somewhat of an argument so far for the first 4 that were mentioned. I will say this in terms of who usually gets ranked best ballpark. It's usually Petco Park and PNC, which we have yet to see. Kauffman Stadium. I haven't been to Kauffman Stadium. I can't tell you about it. But they're getting a brand new stadium soon. There's probably for a reason. It's in a gigantic parking lot, and he ranked them the 5th. Then it goes with Angel Stadium, number 6.
Oh, God.
Angel Stadium might be the worst stadium in all of Major League Baseball.
The only thing I can see is that those are 4 and 5 oldest ballparks in baseball. And if he's talking about staying power, the fact that they haven't been demolished yet, I think is probably the
reason why
thing.
Angel Stadium has not been demolished yet, or Dodger Stadium, or any of the stadiums in California, is because Californians don't want to pay for a brand new stadium, which I'm totally fine with. And you need somebody to come in and do it yourself. And they don't build new stadiums in California unless there's a billionaire that just does it themselves. Petco Park is the last kind of publicly funded baseball stadium that's going to get approved. They're not building any new ones.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to hear the park factors for Angel Stadium?
I was about to read these.
Oh, okay.
Yes. This place has had several iterations. Its birth, revamped, the reborn several times with the small shell. The original Big A gave the way to a outdated multi-purpose look when City of Anaheim lured the Rams from the Coliseum to the banks of the 57 freeway, relegating the iconic A from the beyond the outfield to deep in the parking lots. It talks about the, whatever. The new owner, Disney, put the rocks out there and stuff like that.
Did you see the end of it, though?
Yeah.
The ballpark, other than showing its age once in a while, is still a great place to catch a game, luring 2.6 million to 3 million fans in the decade plus since Moreno's club last made the playoffs.
Foul. He gets a foul.
Wow.
He gets a foul for that. That is somebody.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
That is somebody that's never been to Angel Stadium. Angel Stadium might be one of the worst stadiums I've ever been to in my life. It's so bad.
You step back in time.
I feel like I'm going to Qualcomm. At the end of the last years of Qualcomm, the smell of stale beer spilled on the walkways, the cold concrete. I mean, yeah, they have a rock formation in center field, which makes absolutely zero sense. The Big A thing outside is kind of cool, but it's they got the helmets out front, which doesn't make any sense. They got the life-size field in front of the stadium. They got a giant parking lot. Their concessions are weak. Everything about it's a lousy place to go to a game. Oh, and by the way, they have a rodent infestation. When they played the Dodgers this year, some Dodgers fan had a possum in his hand. They caught a possum in the stands. 6th best ballpark in Major League Baseball. It's a great place to take your kids. They can have a new pet possum. Oh, one of the worst stadiums ever. Coors Field comes in at number 7. I like Coors Field. I think Coors Field is nice. PNC Park comes in at number 8. Another good stadium. Fine. Citizens Bank Park. I've been outside of it. Okay. That's fair. Whatever. I mean, the fact that we've got it to Camden Yards at number 10 without talking about Petco Park yet is really ridiculous, which is usually picked as America's number 1 ballpark. Then they go Rogers Center, Comerica Park, Daikin Park, and then Petco Park comes in at number 14.
What's more embarrassing than that is what comes in at 16.
I'm going to get there in a second. I mean, why? What's the justification for having Petco Park ranked below all these lousy ballparks?
Nowadays, franchises are typically craven enough to simply ask for for stadium handouts, regardless of how terrible their on-field products are. Back in the day, though, clubs would go for broke on the field to drum up support the ballot box,
which is exactly what the Padres did to get Petco Park built. He talks about that, right? They traded for Kevin Brown. They went to the World Series. Prop C passed to get the new stadium.
Barely a decade after Petco opened, referendum backers echoed typical buyer's remorse. The park was supposed to pay for itself while the area is freshened up nicely. That whole quote-unquote ballpark transformation shtick might not be so apt here. It's freaking San Diego, for Pete's sake.
This guy sucks. Foul again.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
While the area has freshened up nicely, that whole ballpark transformation stick might not be so apt here. That is a guy that has never been to East Village before they built that stadium. Seriously. Or the gas lamp, for that matter. People that have lived here and have been here a long time understand that that place was awful and was a place you never went to until Petco Park was built and revitalized an entire portion of downtown. Seriously. I honestly cannot believe that he thought, like, it's San Diego, like it's going to be great regardless. Like, are you kidding me? That is somebody that's never probably actually been around San Diego, Petco Park, and the area. This seems like somebody that just was ranking stuff from a distance. I mean, come on. They're judging Petco Park based on the fact that the team in the 90s got good to try to get a stadium built. Like, that's going to hurt Petco Park. It's one of the best stadiums in all of professional sports. I honestly can't believe the description they gave there. The majority of the description is about what they did in 1998 to get the stadium built. And that's it. I mean, talk about a guy that's never been out here. What a joke. They got the Trop at 16.
I'm stunned at that.
I mean, seriously.
Look, there's no rain delays, and total cost of construction would barely get you a new scoreboard these days. Jeez, that's your opening line? That's efficiency, baby.
Busch Stadium, Citi Field. How's Citi Field?
Citi Field's nice. It's a nice mix of that old style because they built it after Ebbets Field. It's a nice throwback with modern amenities. It's a great ballpark. I've only been there a couple times, but it was very nice.
The Petco Park description is so bad. I'm still upset about that. T-Mobile Park, 19. I heard T-Mobile's sick. I mean, not a lot of love for the West Coast ones, except for the stands. Like, oh, let's put Dodger Stadium in top 3 because it's nostalgic. I mean, I don't have a problem with Dodger Stadium. It is what it is. I wouldn't rank it in like the top 10 of ballparks. You go there and be like, oh, it's not too bad. It looks better after they've remodeled it, but it's like, it's not that great. Angel Stadium's terrible. I don't care. I think tailgating's a thing of the past, so I don't really care about the fact that their parking lot's huge. Doesn't really matter to me. They go Progressive Field. That doesn't seem fun. Target Field, which opened up not too long in 2010. Great American Ballpark. I actually enjoyed Great American Ballpark. I thought it was cool. I thought that was fine. American Family Field, Chase Field. Chase Field's it's like playing in a Costco. Okay, like that's a dumb park.
I think American Family Field. There's video of it. I believe a crane wrecked some of that stadium when it was being built. Like a crane fell over and knocked some of the support structure around.
Yankee Stadium at 25. I've been in Yankee Stadium. It's probably not the same as old Yankee Stadium, which I had not gone to. It's fine. It's very blank.
Everyone I know who has been to Yankee Stadium have all said the same thing. There's absolutely no soul in that building. It is a corporate shrine. There's no feel. There's no.
It's like they tried to build a corporate replica of what they had.
Yes,
is what it looks like. It's okay. I mean, it's still like you still have some of the feel of it of like old Yankee Stadium in terms of like what like the side paneling and like the way that the stadium was laid out. But overall, you're right. It's not.
The place is auraless from what
it doesn't have a lot of aura.
No,
not really. Nats Park, Lone Depot Park, Truist Park, Globe Life Field, and they put Suter Health Park on there.
Yeah, they tried to be. He tried to be funny and said error 404 error Sutter Health Park. Very funny. I am still laughing as we speak.
Gabe Lacroix, talk about a dude that doesn't know what he's talking about. Talk about a guy that doesn't know ball with the stadium list. I mean, come on. Really? With the description for Petco Park is what really sets me off here. It's like the whole hang up of why Petco Park is 14th is because of how Prop C was passed. Like, that's it. They have built, and this ownership, current, and now, well, we'll see how the new one is, has built this like phenomenal place to host events and everything. It's like it's revitalized all of downtown, but it's, how they were able to get the vote passed is a problem. That's why it's ranked 14th. It's so stupid. So stupid. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. On the business side of sports, what's going on with Mark Walters? There's a lot. We unpack it when we come back. That was a great lunch today. We had a company barbecue today. Well, our company did. Frank and I are up here. Someone's got to work still.
Slaving away up here.
That's right. Us working stiffs. We've got to get stuff done.
Working man's a sucker.
That's right. No, they have a every once in a while we do some culture club stuff, is what they call it here. Most of the time, the culture club stuff happens when we're on, because it's like the easiest time for everybody throughout the day. So the culture club today did a little summer barbecue for the people here at Odyssey, and it was Grand Old Barbecue. That was the caterer, and it was delicious. I licked my plate clean. It is there's nothing left. Had a little coleslaw, a little potato salad, some brisket, some pulled pork. Their beans were great. Big thanks to Adam for grabbing us a plate each when he went down there to enjoy. So, well, delicious. That was a delicious lunch. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Okay. Has anybody else looked at like the Mark Walters situation and been like, what is going on? I have looked at it a bunch of times and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And here's the thing, okay? He is not currently being accused of personally stealing money from his insurance companies. He's not being accused of funneling money from insurance companies to the Dodgers or Lakers. The federal investigation that is looking at Mark Walter is looking at whether his insurance companies misclassified investments involving affiliated companies, which is obviously a major regulatory issue because insurance companies are handling policyholders' money and have strict rules about how those assets are invested and disclosed. That's what the problem is. So here's what's going on with Mark Walter from start to finish. You have to think of like Mark Walter owns a business empire. So he has a bunch of different buckets of organizations and companies that he owns. Bucket A is Delaware Life Insurance. Bucket B is Clear Spring Life and Annuity. Bucket C is other Walter-controlled companies and investments, and Bucket D is his sports businesses, including the Dodgers, Chelsea, Lakers, yada, 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 yada. So the issue is that the first two buckets I told you about, the insurance companies, are insurance companies, and they operate under a much tighter financial regulation than ordinary private business. Because when you buy an insurance product, whether it be car insurance, house insurance, life insurance, whatever it is, the insurance company is holding and investing that money that ultimately backs its obligations to policyholders. Now, this is not a discussion of whether or not you get approved or not approved for certain things and policies. Okay, this is just how an insurance company works. So regulators of this want to know, where exactly is this money being invested in and who is getting the money? So here's the critical point to this conversation. According to the New York Times Athletic article about what's going on with Mark Walter, Delaware Life had investments involving companies that were related to Walter's broader business empire. But some of those investments were reported to regulators as though they were investments in unaffiliated companies. So it's not wrong that these insurance companies that he owns, okay, is investing in other Mark Walter companies. The problem is they did not disclose that with their clients. They didn't, or they, in reality, they disclosed it inaccurately. So the big thing is suppose I own like Braden Insurance Company and I also own Braden Sports Holdings. If Braden Insurance Company lends $100 million to Braden Sports Holdings, that's a related party transaction. The insurance regulator needs to know that, because the regulator might reasonably ask, wait a second, you're taking money from an insurance company and putting it into another company owned by the same guy. That's different from the insurance company buying a bond issued by some completely unrelated corporation. Now, in the article by the New York Times, it says that Delaware Life initially classified certain investments as unaffiliated when they should have been classified as affiliated. That's why we have this problem. This is why he's being investigated. So, this is where you have to slow things down a little bit. Delaware Life subsequently reviewed its reporting and found errors. It then reclassified nearly $17 billion of investments as being tied to related businesses, which obviously changes things. That changed the reported percentage of its portfolio tied to affiliated business from roughly 3% to 42%. That does not mean that Mark Walters stole $17 billion. That does not mean that he put $17 billion into the Dodgers. And that does not mean the government says $17 billion was illegally transferred. What it means is the company had reported its investment relationships incorrectly. And after reviewing them, nearly $17 billion worth of investments were reclassified as related party investments, which is obviously a massive regulatory accounting issue. So, where the Dodgers play into this is one of the investments identified in this article by the New York Times was a $4.1 million loan to Dodger Tickets LLC. Dodger Tickets is tied to, obviously, the Dodgers. Delaware Life originally listed that as an unaffiliated loan. It later changed the classification to affiliated. So, basically, insurance company got the money from their, clients, if you will, the policy holders. They then took $4.1 million of that and gave it to a loan to Dodger Tickets LLC, which is a Dodgers-related business, which is also owned by Mark Walters. So that's the connection to the Dodgers specifically. But the article does not say that Walter personally took insurance premiums and secretly moved them into the Dodgers. They did not say that, and that's not what we know. We don't know what was used with that money. The documented issue is that an insurance company owned by Walter had an investment loan involving a related business and apparently reported that investment as unaffiliated before later correcting the classification, which is a lot more precise of what's going on. Now, why would that be illegal? Insurance companies can't treat related party transactions like ordinary investments. Regulators need transparency because if you're an insurance regulator and you see that Delaware Life has, X billion dollars invested in independent companies, you go, okay, cool, they got a diversified portfolio. But then you discover actually a huge amount of that money is just invested in businesses connected to the same ownership group. And now you have is the insurance company being used to finance the owner's other businesses? And that's why the regulators are like, what's going on here? So that's why disclosures rules exist. Now, the concern isn't always just paperwork. There's conflicts of interest and the safety of policyholders' money. But, Mark Walter owns a huge business empire. One part of that empire includes insurance companies. Insurance companies have to be extremely transparent about where their money is invested, particularly when they're investing in businesses connected to their own ownership group. The government is investigating whether Walters Insurance Company's improperly classified related party investments as unrelated investments. One example, of course, was the $4.1 million loan to a company connected to the Dodgers that was initially listed as unaffiliated and later reclassified as affiliated. So it's not that Mark Walter stole $17 billion or used insurance money to buy the Dodgers. That's not what is said in the article. The $17 billion, that's kind of the miscalculation, represents the investments that were later reclassified as related party investments. So, Frank, we don't know the information of what he was using this money for. That's not what's being investigated. What's being investigated is these were listed as unaffiliated loans, but in reality, they actually were affiliated, and it was a large percentage of their portfolio was getting invested into other entities that were owned by Mark Walters that was not classified as such and now have since been reclassified to being affiliated investments. And that's the ongoing investigation that is on Mark Walter right now.
Yeah, it is effectively a clerical error. You're in mislabeling was really all it was. So
based on the information we know, right? Like we
Yes.
can't sit here and say it wasn't. We can't say because those are not facts. Those might be some ideas and some conspiracies to what's going on. And maybe there might be more to this story, but as it's being reported, that is what happened.
And it's also, I mean, it is kind of interesting because this is not a, again, now we're going into pure, this part is fact, but after this, it'll be pure speculation. They have been investigating him for the last couple of years now. So it's not like this is a new thing
This
that
goes
is cropping
This
up.
goes back to previous administrations.
Yes, correct. So the pure speculation now is, why is he fire selling most of his teams? Is my question. Because if you mislabel things, yeah, you're going to get a slap on the wrist. You're most likely going to have to pay a fine. But you wouldn't be forced to sell off those assets. At least I wouldn't think.
Well, here's the deal. We don't necessarily know why he's selling the Lakers, and we have details about that we're going to get to next. 1240 on the Fan. This is so much juicy information right now in the sports world. We're talking about the Mark Walter situation. And now it gets into the conversation about the Lakers. So we tried to explain a little bit. Again, this is just based on what has been reported in the New York Times and across the board. We are not going to speculate on a lot of the reasons why that have not been put out there yet on what is happening with Mark Walter and why he is selling the Lakers, why he is being reported to potentially sell his share of Chelsea. You know, obviously there's Dodger implications here as well, but and we can't necessarily connect the dots that might not have dots to connect. You can make your own opinions on this. So essentially, we talked about why Mark Walter is getting investigated by the federal government on some clerical errors when it comes to whether or not the investments from his insurance companies, had invested in Mark Walter-owned companies and then not listed as affiliated investments. So there was about $17 billion that were listed as unaffiliated investments that were actually affiliated with Mark Walter's companies. Again, it's not saying he's laundering the money. It's not saying that that was the clerical error here, and this is why the government has been investigating Mark Walter now for a little bit of time. So this came out a month and a half ago, right, Frank? This whole kind of story of like he was being investigated, and then it's been like a month, right?
It's been going on for a while, I would say.
But like it came out in the news again like a month ago.
3 weeks ago, yeah, like a month, 3 weeks ago, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, was it last week? Now all of a sudden it's like he's selling the Lakers, and that's what raises a lot of red flags even more for I think a lot of people. So this is where things get interesting. Is Mark Walter, who bought the majority of the Lakers in 2025, bought the team at roughly a $10 billion valuation. Then, about 14 months later, Walter agreed to sell the Lakers to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner at a reported $12.5 billion valuation. So, people are naturally going to ask, why are you selling the Lakers after only 14 months? That seems a little odd. And because his insurance companies are simultaneously under federal investigation, I think a lot of people are going to connect the dots. I think a lot of people start raising their eyebrows even more to this situation. But as stated in the New York Times and The Athletic, it's very clear that we don't currently know that the insurance investigation caused the Lakers sale. We don't know that for a fact. I think a lot of people will raise their eyebrows at it. I think a lot of people will be like, are we sure about that? And who knows what the next reports will be about this situation. It could be completely separate.
I would say it's reasonable to assume that, but it would be incorrect to take that assumption as fact.
You cannot. It's not a fact. We don't know. The reality is you don't know. Now, one sports business expert that was quoted in the New York Times article specifically urged people to be cautious about connecting the investigation to the sale. I think a lot of people, too, with some of the teams that they own, you're like the rival teams, you're like trying to root for the disaster of the sports team, and you might be starting to connect dots on your own. But we don't know that yet. There might be some extra reports later this week that connect the dots. I will let that be for the journalists that do this. We're just passing along the news and trying to break it down for it makes sense. Now, this is where things transition from Mark Walter to the Buss family. Because why is Mark Walter selling the Lakers is an interesting story. But now there's a whole separate fight that's going to hold up Mark Walter selling the Lakers to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner. And that's the Buss family. And now this is a different side quest to this main story that is Mark Walter and him selling the Lakers and then thinking about selling Chelsea FC and the insurance. This is a separate issue that's like an episode of Succession. So the Buss family still owns 17.8% of the Lakers. What happens to the Buss family 17.8% of the Los Angeles Lakers? That's the Buss family legal fight, which is separate from Mark Walter. That's related because Walter just sold the Lakers to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner, and that sale triggers a second issue, but they're not the same dispute. This is a completely separate deal. What does Jeannie Buss actually own? The Buss family still owns approximately 17.8% of the Los Angeles Lakers. Walter, buying control of the Lakers, did not simply erase the Buss family's ownership interest. Now that Walter is selling to Iger and Kushner, the Buss family stake becomes extremely valuable. The siblings, because there's more than just Jeannie, and we know that because a couple of the Buss family members have now purchased a small amount of the San Diego Padres, but the siblings apparently want to sell that 17.8%. Here's the problem. Jeannie Buss says they can't just sell it without her approval. This is the fascinating legal wrinkle to this situation. According to Jeannie Buss's lawyers, there is a 2017 court order involving the Buss family trust. That order says the trustees are supposed to take reasonable actions to ensure that Jeannie Buss remains the controlling owner of the Lakers during her lifetime, unless a court modifies that order. Her argument is essentially, you can't sell enough of the family ownership stake to remove me as controlling owner because the court already ordered the trust to protect my controlling owner status through life. That's the heart of her position. Now, this is what's really important about the percentage of the ownership. Jeannie's attorneys argue that the trustees are obligated to make sure the Buss family maintains at least 15% ownership so that Jeannie can remain the Lakers' controlling owner or governor in the NBA. The family owns about 17.8%. So there isn't much room to sell before dropping before that threshold because according to the NBA, you have to have at least 15% ownership stake to be the control person of the organization. Like we've talked about with the Padres, right? You need a control person for Major League Baseball. Her lawyer says the trustees must vote the shares in a way that preserves that minimum 15% ownership requirement. So essentially, Buss family owns 17.8% of the Lakers. Jeannie's claimed minimum 15% of the Lakers, which means only 2.8 percentage points of wiggle room to sell. That's why this matters. Now, why are her siblings saying something different? Well, there's a little family dispute here with the Buss family. This is where the family fight comes in. The siblings who voted to sell apparently believe 4 of the 6 beneficiaries of the Buss trust were sufficient to approve the sale. Jeannie's lawyers say that's not enough because the co-trustees, Jeannie, Janie, and Joey Buss, have obligations imposed by the court order. So essentially, other Buss siblings, we have enough votes to sell. Jeannie, no, you don't. The trustees have a court-ordered obligation to preserve my controlling ownership status. And Jeannie's lawyers went even further, saying an attempt to proceed could constitute breach of trust, breach of fiduciary duty, and contempt of court. Now, here's the really interesting part. Jeannie's job. Remember, Walter bought control of the Lakers from the Buss family, but Jeannie reportedly had an agreement with the Walter group that she would remain the team's governor for at least 5 years. The article says that agreement was supposed to protect her position. Then Walter sells the team after only 14 months. So now the question becomes, does Bob Iger have to honor Walter's agreement with Jeannie? Iger said he intends to honor the deal, but then added, if things change, they'll change. That's why Jeannie's situation isn't necessarily over. So here's the timeline. Walter buys a minority stake in the Lakers in 2021. Walter becomes the controlling owner in 2025. Lakers are valued at roughly $10 billion. Walter agrees to sell the Lakers to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner for a reported $12.5 billion. At the same time, federal investigators are examining Walter's insurance businesses. Investigators are looking at whether affiliated investments were improperly classified as unaffiliated. Meanwhile, the Buss family still owns roughly 17.8% of the Lakers. The Buss siblings want to sell their stake, but Jeannie says, you can't do that in a way that removes me as controlling owner because of a 2017 court order. And here's another question. Even if the sale goes through, does Iger have to keep Jeannie as governor because of the agreement Walter made with her? What in the world is going on in Los Angeles? I mean, the stories that connect this is like seriously a season of an HBO show.
Yeah, no kidding. This is just flat out insane. I mean, it's wild now that you've gotten into this case, and it's so messed. I don't want money anymore. You know what?
More money, more problems, man.
Yeah,
That's how this works.
I'm good right now. I don't need money. This is too much to continue. How do the people involved in this keep pace with what's going on?
School.
I just,
this is how they did it. So, but I haven't even gotten to the Chelsea FC situation.
They start on Monday, by the way.
Yeah. Chelsea Ownership Group is basically a partnership that developed a serious internal power struggle, which is interesting because it is Todd Boehly and Mark Walter. So when Chelsea was purchased from Roman Abramovich in 2022 for $2.3 billion, it wasn't just Todd Boehly bought Chelsea or Mark Walter bought Chelsea. It was a group called Blueco, and the ownership breakdown was Clear Lake Capital, which involves Jose E. Feliciano, owns 61.5% of the team. Todd Boehly owns 12.8%. Mark Walter owns 12.8%. The remaining ownership is held by other investors. The important thing is, though, that Boehly and Walter personally own their 12.8% stake, while Clear Lake owns the majority. So, according to this story, Boehly and Walter are talking about selling their individual stake to Clear Lake at Chelsea. So that would, Clear Lake owns 61.5%. Boehly and Walter own 12.8% each, whatever. Why is this interesting for Mark Walter? Because now we have three different major sports assets potentially changing hands around the same time. Walter bought control for roughly $10 billion of the Lakers. 14 months later, he sells them for $12.5 billion. Walter owns 12.8% of Chelsea. Now he's reportedly discussing selling that stake to Clear Lake. Dodgers, he still owns the Dodgers and continues to operate them. So is Mark Walter reducing his sports footprint is, I think, a fair question to ask. But nobody knows why. I think a lot of people can assume why, but you know what? You can't do that because we don't know why. There's no fact of whether or not, why he's doing this. But Walter doesn't actually control the day-to-day of Chelsea. The ownership agreement between gives Boehly and Clear Lake joint control and equal governance, but Clear Lake currently has functional operational control, which, of course, Jose E. Feliciano is involved with. They don't say why Boehly and Clear Lake are and Walter want out of this deal, but the other thing that's interesting is Walter and Boehly, even though they have had this little dispute, they still own the Dodgers together and the Sparks and the parts of Chelsea. So if Walter sells Chelsea, he's not necessarily breaking up his relationship with Boehly because he still owns other organizations with this guy. So is Mark Walter getting out of sports? Or is he getting out of complicated partnerships? I mean, what's going on here? But the fact that it's the Lakers and Chelsea and the situation with the there's so much to unpack with this, and it's a story to monitor. We just wanted to pass it along to you and try to break it down as simply as we possibly could, and you can infer what you want. So now you're caught up. If you missed any of it, we talked about in the last segment. Most of the noon hour is about this particular conversation. When we come back, we're going to dive into college football with San Diego State. We're going to talk about the NFL, but we have some new information about the new owners of the Padres. And Eric Krupner was on with the morning show. We'll hear what he has to say when we come back. 1:00 on a Tuesday. Padres baseball coming up a couple hours or so. I'll let you know if we get a lineup out there. We didn't play the lineup thing yesterday, but didn't we get we got the lineup after the show?
I didn't remember getting the lineup
getting a lineup. No, neither do I. Anyway.
Then again, I also didn't look. So
a lot of people have made their comments about the stadium situation. Oh, my God.
Oh, we just, as a matter of fact, son of a gun, Literally 20 seconds ago, we have a lineup.
We're going to get to that in a second. Did you see this Penn State thing where they had like a cocaine trafficking ring? You see that?
Wait.
You didn't see that yesterday?
Wait.
I don't want to get into the details of this because we've already gone into like the deep weeds of sports business dealings. 13 Penn State fraternity brothers charged with running a major cocaine trafficking ring, with some pledges allegedly forced to cut and package cocaine as part of their indoctrination into the frats. That is not why I'm bringing this up. This is why I'm bringing it up. I'm going to try not to laugh. You ready for this?
No.
Or prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for this. I'm glad you haven't heard about the story yet. Alleged Penn State cocaine kingpin. Dubbed.
Oh, no.
Pablo Plejkabar turns himself in and is denied bail. Pablo Plejkabar. Come on. Are you kidding me? Pablo Plejkabar? Give me a break. How are you going to PR defend the Big Ten and Penn State right now on this? Pablo Plejkabar. Don't do this. This is a don't do this. I mean, first of all, running a cocaine trafficking ring, probably not a great idea. That's, illegal. Making pledges to your fraternity, cut and package cocaine as part of their indoctrination into the frat, absolutely don't do this. Do you think he was given that nickname, or do you think he gave that nickname himself? Pablo Plejkabar.
Any nickname that's stupid is bound to be thought up by the person who has it.
Pablo Plejkabar. You got to get him with a foul. That's a tech for sure.
Is there? I don't think we have a foul strong enough for this.
Oh my God! Like,
do we have a foul button strong enough for this?
Pablo Plejkabar.
Is there a foul? Is there a foul scene in any movie, anything that is strong enough for this?
Pablo Plejkabar. I can't believe that. That's a flagrant 2.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
There's got to be some. There's got to be some Scottish soccer announcer calling a foul, calling a red card on an English player. That's more impactful.
Okay, are you ready? Are you ready for this foul?
Oh no!
This is why I keep coming back to social media, because people are creative in their jokes.
Yeah, as much as I hate social media, I'll never leave it because of nonsense like that.
Okay, you ready for this?
No.
Pablo Plejkabar is awesome, but many of his friends call him Austin Powders. Some called him Nostradamus. His girlfriend called him Kirk Cocaine. His favorite book is 2 Kilo Mockingbird. Does he have an Instagram? He must be bleeping bricks. Only 19 likes. I don't know why. I feel like that should be liked a little bit more. That's hilarious. That is amazing. What a story. Don't do this on so many different levels. Do I need to repeat the names? Are you okay over there?
Can I just have one team? Just one. That's not
a train wreck.
A complete and total disaster from top to bottom. If they're not just like completely irrelevant.
Pablo Plejkabar.
Bro.
Pablo Plejkabar, you're playing Nostradamus on court 15. Up next on court 12, 2 Kilo Mockingbird versus Instagram. Oh, man.
And no, Juan, I don't have Inter because and no, Juan, I don't have Inter because they are tied to giving away tickets to a head of the mafia.
Pablo Escobar. That's amazing. All right, let's get to the lineup today, huh? Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, let's do. Oh, what a transition!
Amazing. You cannot make this stuff up sometimes, man. I swear to you.
If there is a team that is doing something apocalyptically stupid, I'm probably rooting for them. Not because of it, but just because that's the way it works.
That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. All right, give us the lineup.
Do I play the thing?
What thing?
And Frank Marchese's luckless few weeks continues.
Yep, that's probably good. You got to win yesterday. The Mets won yesterday.
My God. All right, starting lineup. Fernando leading off in right. Luis Rengifo at batting second in left. Manny batting third, playing third. Ty France at first, batting fourth. Merrill in center. Bogarts at short. Austin Hayes gets the DH spot. He's batting seventh. Freddie Fermin, 8. Cronenworth, 9, with Robbie Ray on the mound against Zach Thornton.
All right. There it is. Padres lineup. Okay, I want to get to some of the sound that we had from earlier today. Eric Grupner was on with the morning show, Padres CEO.
Anytime you say, I want to get to this real quick, is going to scare me now.
Wait, hold on a second. Now it's going to scare you? As opposed to like the last year and couple months? Now it scares you?
Yes.
Be careful what I can find on social media. That's just got to be talked about. All right, let's get to it. Eric was on with the morning show today, talking a lot about obviously the new ownership, group. Obviously, they're going to have that press conference on Monday at 1 o'clock hour of our show that will be commercial free. But there's a lot of things to get to. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with talking about the new owners, since a lot of fans haven't heard from them yet until Monday. And of course, they've announced a cool new fan appreciation month for September. We'll get to that as well. But here's Eric Grupner on officially having new bosses to report to.
Had the opportunity to get to know both Kwanzaa and Jose really over the last 6 months as we've gone through the process with the sale of the team. And they were one of the groups that were in it from the start and obviously stayed in it till the end. So had a lot of opportunities to spend time with them at their home, various places over that period of time, and really just get to know them as people. And as I said, the last time I was on with you guys, which I think was only a week or so ago, I think our fans are just going to fall in love with Kwanzaa and Jose. They're really incredible people, hardworking, smart, really successful, very competitive. They want to win. They want to win a championship, and they plan to own this team for a very long time and really continue to, have a positive impact in the community. I mean, I think it's everything you could want out of an ownership group, and in particular, the individuals leading the ownership group.
Eric Grupner on the morning show earlier this morning, talking about a lot of things under the sun when it comes to the new ownership group. But of course, I've got to ask, are the new owners, do they understand San Diego's desire to win?
Yeah, they understand it. They want it. As I mentioned, they're very competitive people. And I think our fans are going to have the opportunity, as you mentioned, formally on Monday to hear from them. We're going to have a press conference at the ballpark where we will introduce Kwanzaa and Jose as the next owners of the San Diego Padres. And I think it'll be a great opportunity for fans to hear directly from them about their passion for winning a championship, what that means to them, why they care about that, how they see both the Padres and sports and baseball in general playing such a critical role in unifying our communities and our fans and San Diegans. And I think it's just going to be outstanding. And you mentioned big shoes to fill, no doubt about it. I had the privilege of working with Peter for quite some time and getting to know him, and then his brother John. And I can't say enough about the Sadler family, their stewardship of the Padres, really taking our franchise to a level that it had never been at before in our 50-plus year history. And we're not done yet. This next chapter and this continuation of what we're looking to do as an organization is going to be more of the same in terms of competing for a championship, but ultimately accomplishing that goal for our fans.
The next thing, of course, asked of that I think a lot of people want to know is how, now what's the process like? How do they get onboarded into the organization? How do they get through the process of now really being in control and taking over? What's that transition like?
Yeah, they're very sophisticated and experienced investors, entrepreneurs, and philanthropists. They've been incredibly successful with the many different ventures that they've been involved in, both Kwanzaa leading their real estate and other investments. They have a family office that's been hugely successful. And then obviously Jose as a co-founder of Clear Lake, one of the largest and most successful private equity firms. So, I think they're going to bring a very similar approach to the Padres as they've brought to those other businesses and business ventures. And, I've noticed, they're really good question askers, which I think is a sign of high intelligence and experience, is to start by asking questions and understanding, and then from there, making decisions on the best path forward. So I think there'll be a process on the front end where they'll get up to speed even more so on the Padres, and do that through asking questions and building relationships. And I expect that that's going to be the first, 60 to 90 days. And we look forward to that.
The next thing, of course, is this offseason. We talked about it yesterday a little bit, because I think a lot of people want to see, what is this new organization going to do? What is the new ownership group going to do? What's the big splash move that they can make at the beginning, right? But there's kind of a weird window for them to start making changes, and that's kind of like at the end of the season. And then on top of that, if we're talking just roster changes, they have a very small window just in case, this thing goes to a lockout. I mean, this is an interesting time to take over a brand new team during a labor dispute. How are the new owners getting prepared for a labor dispute this offseason?
Yeah, they're already, up to speed on the current state of Major League Baseball and the Padres. And, they've studied our 5-year plan that it looks quite a ways out beyond just 2027. And so, they've seen it all, they've studied it, and I think they're going to hit the ground running on day one with a full knowledge of where our industry is at and where the Padres are at. And I think it's really exciting. And that's one of the reasons why ultimately they made the decision to buy the team. Is there's a lot of growth and excitement ahead for this franchise and the city when it comes to baseball. And they're the perfect two people to come in and lead that.
Last thing from Padres CEO Eric Grupner on with the morning show, and I think this is kind of cool. They announced it earlier this morning, and he was able to talk about it. But the Padres are doing a Fan Appreciation Month for the month of September. The Padres have announced Fan Appreciation Month presented by Motorola Razr. September will serve as a month-long celebration of Padres fans featuring unique offerings. Here's what Eric Grupner had to say about Fan Appreciation Month.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I just wanted to share with our fans, number one is, as I try to do every time, I speak publicly, but just our overwhelming gratitude for the support we've received from our fans. Over the last 5 going on 6 years now, we've really had top 5, and for most of those years, top 3 attendance in baseball. For the second consecutive year now, we're number 2 in attendance in baseball. And we, as an organization, we just can't be more grateful for our fans and the support we've received. That's allowed us to keep a, top 10 payroll that we increased further at the trade deadline to, reinforce the rotation and make a push for the postseason and a championship. And none of that is possible without the support we get from our fans. So for the month of September, we're going to have a formal fan appreciation month. And that's going to mean a number of different things based on whether you're a season ticket member or just somebody who purchases a ticket to come and support the Padres. But either way, we've got a lot of really special things planned for our fans and our members. For our members, we're going to provide, loaded value of $25 per seat on the account, up to 6 seats that can be used for food and beverage purchases over the month of September at Petco Park. I think one or more of you are season ticket members, so you guys will benefit directly from that. And we just wanted to have a real tangible representation of our gratitude for our fans, where we can buy everybody a meal and a drink while they're at the ballpark for each of the seats that they have on their account. And then we're going to have a good old-fashioned sweepstakes at each of the games in September, where we're giving out some great prizes. I know you guys are golfers, brand new state-of-the-art Callaway drivers, Soapy Joe's annual membership, new Bravia 4K HD TV from Sony, gas gift cards. I think everybody can appreciate that these days. Turtle Box speaker, which is really cool, and a lot of other great prizes. And we'll be giving those out every game in September to fans. And then we're going to have a number of different surprise and delights and different things that are going to be happening over the course of September. So 12 home games in September. We need the support from our fans like never before as we push for the postseason. And, every game really matters here down the stretch. And along the way, we wanted to, do a number of things to just say thank you for that support.
That was Padres CEO Eric Grubner joining the morning show, and some cool things when it comes to the Fan Appreciation Month. For more information on that, you can go to Padres.com. We appreciate our fans, and today was some of the pre-sale for Luke Combs and his concert going to Petco Park in June of next year. Well, if you missed out, or if you're not really certain about your pre-sale window coming up on Thursday, we're giving away tickets right now. Tickets to Luke Combs at Petco Park on June 26, 2027. Ticket info at lukecombs.com. If you are the fifth caller, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Fifth caller, you will win tickets to Luke Combs at Petco Park as we go to break on the Braden Surprenant Show, Static Zimmerman Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Baseball coverage of 97 to the Fan is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi, one price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We had a lot to talk about in the noon hour about the sports business side of things. We've talked about what's going on in Padres land. We're on the field and with their new ownership. And now time to get into a little Aztec football, Frank. Let's talk a little Aztec football from their scrimmage over the weekend. Kirk Kenny had his biggest takeaways from the weekend, but Aztecs football gearing up to play the 2026 season here. They'll open up against Portland State. And the biggest takeaway from Kirk Kenny over the weekend was from Saturday's scrimmage is that Burt Emanuel Jr. may have gone from an interesting position change experiment to one of San Diego State's most dangerous offensive weapons. He caught 4 passes for 49 yards in the scrimmage. 2 of those catches required impressive leaping and body control, evidence that his athleticism is translated to receiver. 6'3", 235 pounds, but he has been clocked at 23.2 miles an hour, making him the fastest player on the team. He only became a full-time receiver about 8 months ago. His quarterback background could eventually accelerate his development, because he understands when a quarterback needs a receiver to be open. He understands where the quarterback wants the route to break, how much pressure the quarterback is under. Sean Lewis says Emmanuel's development is starting to hit an uptick. I think this is good news for the Aztecs on a couple of different fronts, Frank. They have yet to have like a really good receiver or a dominant receiver. They have not had a go-to target in a long time. I think they need that for Sean Lewis's offense. I think they need that for a guy like Jaden Denegal. They have the good running game with Lucky Sutton, and the Aztecs have had a really good running game for probably a decade plus now. But the biggest problem was teams would load the box against San Diego State and be like, good luck trying to throw, because they knew that they couldn't throw, but they needed some weapons. I don't think it necessarily was the quarterback every single time. They had lacked receiving depth. This could be a big piece that could help the Aztecs on the offensive side.
It is very interesting, that dichotomy of going from quarterback to wide receiver. It's very similar. At least I make it similar as like a receiver going to a corner, because you know what to, as a receiver, going to a corner, you know what to expect out of the receiver. You know what his mentality is. You know what he's thinking as far as what route he's going to run. So that is a huge advantage to have, knowing what your quarterback is looking for when you break for a route, the timing of when you do break for a route, how deep and when, if you're making a change, instead of going 7 yards out, going 5 or whatever. Those are things that a quarterback that you would be looking for as a quarterback, that as a receiver you wouldn't naturally get. This kid naturally gets it because he's been on the other side of it. So that would be a huge, if he's got hands and he's already proven that he is the quickest guy on the team, that could be very, very dangerous, especially as a deep threat.
He's 235 pounds, but he runs, he's got elite speed. He's the fastest player on the team. He runs like a running back, but he has that mental understanding of a quarterback. That's definitely a weapon to have on the outside, because, how do you stop him, right? Are you going to put a corner on him that might be a little bit outsized by the physicality of the receiver of Burt Emanuel Jr.? Do you put a linebacker on him and sacrifice the speed aspect because you got to match up size wise? I mean, you could have a safety on him, but maybe give up a little bit of the physicality. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. Not necessarily any of them are that great of an option. And there's already evidence that he could be explosive. In last year's New Mexico Bowl, while he played quarterback, he ran for 170 yards on only 11 carries. I mean, and that included touchdowns of 72 and 69 yards. So, this is a very big boost, I think, to this offense. And that leads to the next takeaway that Kirk Kenny had about Carson Deal, who is a player from La Jolla High School from a year ago, one of the better receivers in the county. He's showing why early enrollment matters, because he's an interesting development out of camp. I mean, he had 4 catches for 25 yards in the scrimmage. 3 catches came on consecutive plays. He has already earned the trust of San Diego State quarterbacks. And Lewis praised his situational awareness, including knowing when to get out of bounds. That kind of awareness is unusual for a true freshman, but I think it goes to the fact that he enrolled early and he was able to get a lot of reps during the spring, which has led to him potentially being a contributor in the fall.
Yeah, it sounds like you've focused a lot on getting receivers, getting guys that can help in that receiving core. And it sounds like, especially now, that it's going to pay off this season. Give Jaden Denegal some targets, block for him, hopefully, where he's not running as much, because that's how he hurt himself last year, was scrambling and trying to run. I know Denegal's a kid who's going to make some moves with his legs. But if you can give him some genuine receiving help, which it sounds like they have, it's going to be a very, very dangerous San Diego State Aztec team, especially with how dangerous they were last year.
I watched Carson Deal play last year. Solid player for La Jolla. But at La Jolla, 6 feet tall, 160 pounds. At San Diego State, he's 6'3", 195. Ooh. I mean, he has grown 3 inches and has added 35 pounds. Now, I'm sure some of that might be inflated, but that is a massive physical transformation right there before he's even played his first college game. And because he graduated early, he was able to participate in San Diego State's spring semester training and conditioning. And that potentially gave him, months of development that a traditional freshman wouldn't have gotten during their off season, or while they're hanging out in high school and everything like that. This is a lot bigger than just he caught 4 passes and he's a freshman. I mean, Aztecs had 12 early enrollees this year. That means they are trying to develop players earlier, get them physically prepared to have them contribute. And Carson Deal could be an example of that strategy working very early on. Again, we haven't played any games yet, but that is something to look for in the first couple of weeks. Another local product, Lucky Sutton. He's basically being wrapped in bubble wrap, to say the least. It's very smart, obviously, for the Aztecs. He's the best running back on the team. Didn't play in the scrimmage. Everybody knew he wasn't going to play. Last year, he rushed for 1,297 yards, 10 touchdowns. The season opener is September 5th against Portland State. Sean Lewis clearly doesn't need to see Sutton prove anything in an August scrimmage. Sutton's value to this team is also significant. At San Diego State is treating him this differently. It's not necessarily lack of toughness or competitiveness, but he doesn't need to be on the field. As somebody that coached Lucky, in the past, he doesn't need to participate in this. Absolutely not.
You know what he's going to give you. He's your centerpiece as far as offense is concerned. The Aztecs have been a running team for years. You have your number 1 running back. Save him as much as you possibly can for the season.
And he was named to the Doak Walker Award watch list. He is one of the 5 returning semifinalists of the award from last year, which goes out to the most outstanding college running back. He is one of 3 players from the Pac-12 on the list, and one of 62 overall. So he is what does it say? He is on the award watch list this year. So good news for Lucky Sutton. But the biggest takeaway, Saturday scrimmage wasn't necessarily about who won the quarterback competition, who dominated statistically. It's about seeing how much talent San Diego State might have around its core players. And right now, sounds like the receiving core got a little bit of a boost, which is encouraging. Sounds like they're going to be able to run the ball. I think the biggest question now remains the secondary for San Diego State, because that was a question going into camp. And we'll see what happens against Portland State coming up on September 5th, but we'll keep you updated on Aztec football. When we come back, we'll get to our NFL training camp report. We will also preview Padres and Mets Game 2 on the other side. The final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego State Sports Station 97 to the Fan. All of our guests join us on the NCCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, Standings Number One Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. We're going to talk about Padres and Mets coming up tonight. Robbie Ray, Zach Thornton is the matchup, and that will get underway at 4:10 p.m. Pacific time. Equator SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt will be at 3:10, so just about an hour of Gwen and Chris today following our show. But before we get to the preview, I do want to get to some NFL stuff for you. We usually get to a training camp update, but I think we got an interesting story today as NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell recently said in an interview with a German publication that he has no doubt that eventually there will be a team in the league that is based outside of the United States. At some point, there will be NFL teams outside the USA. Goodell told ESPN.com, "I have no doubt that this will happen one day." Goodell's comments came during an appearance with German outlet ahead of a record 9 international games this season, including a Week 10 game in Munich between New England and Detroit. The NFL owners in May passed a resolution to allow an increase to 10 international games beyond the 2026 season, and Goodell has stated in the past that the league's goal is to play 16 international games. The NFL's 2026 international slate begins Week 1 with the league's first ever game in Australia when the Niners face the Rams in Melbourne. I understand what the NFL is trying to do. As an American consumer of the NFL, I'm super against international games. I know the players don't like playing internationally either. The NFL about 15 years ago when they started this international thing was they were hoping to eventually within 15 years have teams around the globe. Now, I don't know if their plan was to have them include that in the NFL in terms of one big league. I don't know if they wanted to make, NFL Europe again. But their biggest problem was, as alluded to today in a couple other articles, was it hasn't been about getting people in Europe to watch. It's been more about the logistics of making it work. And for me, if you're going to expand this game and make it global, you need more players than what you currently have, because we've seen the XFL, right? We've seen the USFL. We've seen the level of play that they are. There's not as much elite talent to go around. I think that's the big problem with expansion for any type of sports league. But I think, if your plan was to try to grow the game and make football an international sport, you got to find a way to create players in those countries so you can have other leagues and work your way up and not just start adding a bunch of organizations in Europe. Because I don't know about you, Frank, flying across the Atlantic Ocean a couple of times a year to play a football game, one, is a lengthy amount of travel for no reason, and two, not really fair to the players.
Now, to be fair, international could also mean Canada. That is also a thing. It could mean a team in Toronto. It could mean a team in Canada.
Or Mexico City.
Or in Mexico City, which, even that's.
But their goal is to play in Europe.
That would be incredibly stupid. Because what is one rule that a lot of these teams have to get because they play over in Europe?
A bye?
Yes.
You can't just be handing out all these buys.
Exactly. You can't have one team's schedule take 5 months longer than everyone else's because you got to give them a bye every time they cross the Atlantic.
Right.
That cannot happen. Logistically, it would be a nightmare, and I guarantee you the Players Association will be against it. I understand playing games internationally. I think they're doing it way too much, but I don't mind seeing them playing international games. They do it far too often. Having a team over there permanently would be absolutely foolish. It would be so stupid. And honestly, Trevor Lawrence, I hope you learn British, because if a team goes If a team goes, it's most likely going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, if that's the case, but
because of the Khan family and their ownership of Fulham Football Club, number one, and number two, it's because of the Khan family that they're even playing games in London in the first place. If anyone goes, it's going to be Jacksonville.
I think, but here's my thing on the NFL. I don't think you can just add one team. I just like that team. It's going to be nobody's going to want to sign with them.
No,
they're not going to be able to get any. Like nobody's going to want to go play there. They're going to have to play like month. They're going to be like it's going to be worse than Hawaii. Like they're going to have to spend like a month on the road, and just. And just like be like have a base camp in the United States. There's no reason to have just one team there. You would need to have like a whole separate league. You would need to add like 8 teams over there and make it like a development league. Like to me, the only way that you would make this work. Here's what you do. You ready for this, Frank? I'm going to fix all the problems right now. Go back to not paying college players for football, aside from like the little side stuff that they could do on their own. Open up an 8-team league in Europe to be your affiliate league. Get all the best players out of high school that want to make tons of money to go play in Europe, and that could be the development league, and then you can go back to having college football be college football. I would love that. Now, I don't think a lot of the 18-year-olds that want to play at Georgia for a ton of money would be on board with that. But like that to me is how you would make this work. And NFL Europe didn't work. Now, I don't necessarily know if times have changed now that they have gotten NFL games there. I still think if you played an exhibition game there every once in a while, it's probably fine. But you need to start developing players in Europe before you start adding some random teams out there. And if you're going to add teams in Europe, I think you have to have at least 8 teams in Europe to make it worth their while, because let them travel between themselves in Europe and then play a couple of games across the pond where they don't have to go over there all the time. It's just too much travel for a lot of NFL players. And if they're going to have a team outside the United States, you want to grow the league, you need players to do that, and you need to have multiple teams show up at one time in Europe if you want to make this thing work. I just think they're trying to force it.
It is beyond a long-term goal and one that has way too many logistical problems to even, I think, genuinely be considered. I think that is another way you can kind of look at it. You can still play the international game, still play a game in Sydney, still play a game in Melbourne, still play a game in Munich, Frankfurt, wherever. But I mean, you could just as easily have a team in Toronto or Vancouver and call it international football. You can do that. That is the thing that can happen.
Well, I know they were thinking about Mexico City and stuff like that. Here's my thing, though. Like, I agree with Juan put in the YouTube chat way before. A team in Munich before San Diego is a crime. It absolutely is. I think they can make this league even better by just adding teams in the United States and then continue to have those European games. But like to have a team outside the United States that's not in that's not in North America, I think you're asking for a lot of trouble. I think you're asking for that team to be terrible too. Here's the other thing. It's kind of like LA. I don't think LA is super stoked about just having the Rams or the Chargers. I think if they just had the Rams, it would be fine. But like LA is the type of market, Frank, where they just wanted football back. You could have had a neutral game in LA like once a week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it would have sufficed the LA market. And I think LA fans probably would have liked that more because you get to see maybe good football teams week in and week out. I think in Europe, being able to see a bunch of different teams definitely is the appeal. You just go to an NFL game. But like, what happens if like the team over there in Europe, you put one team in Europe and they suck? Are they going to do well in terms of attendance and stuff like that? If it's like the one football team and they're only playing teams from the United States and that team's not very good, it's I don't know. It just has a recipe for disaster written all over it. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, I think it would hurt anybody like that division that they were in or conference. I think not only would players not want to sign with the team in Europe unless they get paid a ridiculous amount of money, I don't think they would want to sign in the division that has to go there every year. I mean, we already hear the Blue Jays have to overpay for trying to get people to go to Canada. I just think I get where they're going with this. I know they want to be an international entity. I know from a business side, you're always trying to grow, but I don't feel like I think they've reached the pinnacle of this international thing. I really do.
Yeah. You can play international games all year long. Just to have one team go there, no shot. Sorry.
And I agree with one too. Like regular season games in Europe is dumb. Because, and I've always argued this in on the other side, but like the Premier League is growing in popularity in the United States, and as one in the YouTube chat said, have they had any regular season match over here that counts?
Never.
No, why would they ever do that? But we have to sacrifice our sport and play regular season games in Europe so they can be interested in it, but they have never once like sent over a English Premier League game, an EPL game to play in New York City for the betterment of like America for it counting. They give us friendlies. They give the friendlies that don't count. And by the way, they don't even play their best players. Right? I mean, that's the difference here. But that's my biggest pet peeve with the international thing. But if you want to do it in the preseason, it's kind of fun. You can practice out there for like 2 weeks, whatever. You maybe do training camp in Europe or something like that. Fine. The regular season games are kind of a joke, but the NFL thinks it's going to be great. So, anyway. Padres and Mets tonight, 4:10 tonight, this afternoon. 4:10, Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:10. We got, what do we got today on the Mets, Frank?
I haven't seen...
Wasn't your week to watch?
I haven't seen their lineup yet. Let me take a look and see here.
Robbie Ray versus Zach Thornton. Robbie Ray, interesting question mark for this series. Before coming to San Diego, 1.09 ERA over his previous 8 starts. First 2 with the Padres, 9 innings, 8 walks, 6 strikeouts. We knew Robbie Ray was going to walk people. He has done that in the past. But the Padres didn't acquire Ray to be another arm of the rotation. They need him to be a little bit more of a difference maker. The good news is Ray has a 3.14 career ERA against the Mets and already beat them this season while in San Francisco. Maybe that will work, although that doesn't necessarily work for Casey Mize against the Diamondbacks. No, did it. They're going to get Zach Thornton, 3-3, the 2.78 ERA. Another young pitcher that the Padres have to respect. He has 45 1/3 innings in the big leagues, 29 strikeouts, 13 walks. Coming off of a quality start and has already demonstrated that he can give New York length. Interesting element here. He's ranked number 8 in the Mets system by MLB.com, and he throws 7 pitches.
Yeah,
7 pitches should be a decent matchup tonight.
Thornton's been one of the better young pitchers that the Mets could throw out there and have been throwing out. Lindor, Bichette, Robert, Benj, Alvarez, Christopher Morel, who got called up yesterday. He'll be at first base. Semyon, Ewing, and Luis Torrens will be the lineup that you're facing tonight. I mean, see what happens. This is kind of what the Mets season has been here since the All-Star break. It's just kind of wait and see what happens. See what team you get that night. Zach Thornton, though, very correct. Young pitcher. You're going to need to respect him. He is a gamer. He is a solid pitcher. We'll see what he does next year, because there have been plenty of guys that the Mets have brought up that look like this that just have not panned out after the next season. But tonight is going to be difficult. I would assume tomorrow with Robert Stock pitching, that should be a walk. That should be a walk-through dress rehearsal for the Padres as far as coming back to face Minnesota.
Yeah, hopefully that is the case. So, Padres tonight. We'll see what happens against the Mets. They're trying to even up the series tonight. Try to keep pace with Philadelphia, who is playing Miami tonight, and just kind of look at the MLB scores throughout. Obviously, the league. Some games to pay attention to. Red Sox and Diamondbacks will start Game 2 of their series at 4:10. Marlins and Phillies will get underway at 3:40. Those are 2 games to pay attention to if you're a Padres fan. Cardinals are within 3 games of the Pods. They play the Reds tonight at 3:40. Other team to watch is the White Sox and the Cubs. Cubs are in front of the Padres by 6 games in the standings. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Coming up next, Gwen and Chris for a short hour show. We will not see you tomorrow. We will talk to you guys on Thursday. Have a great day. We'll talk to you Thursday.
Padres met